The Heart of Midlothian, dramatised by Gerda Stevenson, from the novel by Sir Walter Scott. Episode 1.
My sister. There's no a day goes by I dinna think on her. Well, my half-sister, but nae matter. To me, when her mother died, she was my ain wee bairn. Bonnie Effie Deans. A riot o' gowden curls jigging round her laughing face, and her spirit as lightsome. I mind her running about my feet as a wee lassie while I was milking in the byre. "Jeanie, Jeanie," she'd say, hodding up a buttercup, yellow as her curls. "Lift your chin and let me see. Do you like butter, Jeanie, do you?" I still dream about her at night, after all these years. The hangman's noose swinging, and me tramping the long road to London. I'd climb Jacob's ladder to the stars to save her. I miss her. The Lily o' St Leonard's. That's the name they gave her, the folk that came by our father's pasture in the King's Park. The flower among them all, like the old sang says, the bonniest lass in Edinburgh toon.
The elfin knights out on the brae, the broom grows bonny, the broom grows fair, and by their Camlilton a lady say gay, and we don a gun doon to the broomly mere.
Whoosh, Steffi, Feyther's coming out the byre.
Never mind your silly songs, Effie. You mun exercise your lungs in homage to the Lord now. You're late for our family prayers.
We'll be in directly, Feyther.
Where hae you been, Effie?
It's no late, Jeanie.
It's chap at 8 on every clock of the toon, and the sun's gone down a hint like Carstorphine Hill. Where hae you been?
Nay, what?
And what was that? The man that you parted with at the stile?
Naebody.
Nae whore? Naebody?
If you ask any questions, I'll tell you nae lees. I never ask what brings that great sumph, the Laird of Dummydigs, to the door, day after day, glowering at you like a tomcat.
You ken fine he comes to see Feyther, no me.
Dummydigs? He's daft on ye, Jeanie. The glorious night on his near knackered old charger Rory Bean. And what about Reuben Butler? Does he come, do you think, with his long Latin havers and his Bible blethers, just to see Feyther?
Effie, hae you nae respect for the Lord's word, or for Mr. Butler? You should give thanks for the comfort and wise words he's brought to this house.
Jeanie, forgive my high spirits. I'd wish my tongue blistered rather than vex ye.
Never mind me, Effie. Just dinna vex our Feyther.
I won't, Jeanie. If there's as many dances tomorrow in Edinburgh toon as merry dancers in a night sky, I winna budge an inch frae this door, I promise.
Dance? Oh, Effie, what could tak you to a dance?
Dance?
Oh.
Dance, did you say? I don't need to breathe sic a word over my threshold. It's a dissolute, profane pastime practised by that unhappy lass that danced the heat off John the Baptist, upon which chapter I will exercise this night for your further instruction, and ye hae need it, Effie Deans, you young lammer.
Feyther, I didn't
Better to be born a cripple, carried frae door to door begging bawbees, than to be a king's daughter fiddling and flinging your way through life like yon hussy Salome.
Whoosh, Effie, dinna greet.
Aye. Gang in then, my honey's. Gang in. And we'll seek grace to preserve us from all manner of profane folly.
There was naebody I respected mair than our Feyther. Widowed twice, he bore his grief with an iron faith. But sometimes I felt he expected mair of folk than religion and common sense demand. And Effie was sae headstrong, to curb her freedom on a sudden might push her into neglecting her duty altogether. But a chancy offer came Effie's way. A job in a shop on the high street o' Edinburgh. My father's cousin, Mrs. Saddletree, sold riding gear there at the sign of the Golden Nag. Feyther was delighted. bed, board and a bit wage, and his lassie would be under his cousin's eye. Effie was taken with the plan and all, though I wasnae sure. The toon would put sair temptations in her path. But then, maybe the move would mean she'd break off with the man I'd seen her daffing with here at St Leonard's.
Jeannie! Jeannie Deans!
Reuben! I didn't think I'd see you in the toon.
Oh, I've come to hear the minister preach in the Tolbooth Kirk. Your father always says he's worth the listening.
I'm headed the same gate. I thought you were still in Dumfries.
Well, I start my new teaching post in Liberton tomorrow.
Oh, we'll be seeing Mary then. But you're licensed to preach now. Can you no find a position?
Oh, not yet, I'm afraid. Isn't Effie with you today?
I chapped at the Golden Nag, but nobody answered.
As we reached the Tolbooth Kirk, we saw a huge crowd gathered at the door.
Aye, we'll be lucky to get a pew.
Is there something going on?
Have you not heard, lassie? The minister's given his sermon to these poor rascals up to behind the morning.
Who's that?
Andrew Wilson and his sidekick, Geordie Robertson.
What a business, eh?
Aye.
It's a sin to see twa men hang it for talking what's only there.
Damn the tax man and his contraband. It's a fair scunner to think of the mountain of gears swiped off of folk.
But I'm sure you'll allow, sir, Wilson and Robertson are notorious thieves.
Out of your step there, man. Nobody grudges Andrew Wilson his £200. It'll do nae harm for yon tax man to fill his pockets empty for you.
But the law is rendered meaningless, surely, if it makes exemptions.
Oh, exemptions indeed. The English pledged exemptions to their rotten rates and articles of duty, but they broke their poxy promise.
That's right.
When we had our own parliament men, we could aye people them with stains if they weren't good bairns, but nobody's nails can reach the length of London.
A plague in London and all that came to it. Mind what Scotland was Scotland. They ta'en a war parliament and oppressed their trade. Aye, it's nae one our folk are at war with the excise. You canna get your meat without paying through the roof.
Aye, and cloth. They'll hardly allow a Scots needle to sew a ruffle on a sark.
You're right.
Aye.
It was the custom that criminals under sentence of death were brought to the Tolbooth Kirk to join in public worship on the Sabbath afore execution. Wilson and Robertson were in a pew set apart, each held by twa soldiers of the city guard. There was standing room only left at the back. I was singing with the congregation next to Reuben. Light frae a window was slanting ower his fine face. I kenned his features like I kenned the burns and braes where we walked together as bairns. We'd herded the sheep for my father and his grandmother day in, day out after school. He was weel liked for his gentle nature and was aye the best scholar. He'd be a minister yet, and we'd be man and wife. We just had to bide our time. But at that moment, I felt we were trembling on the verge of eternity with these wretched men facing their Maker.
Andrew Wilson and George Robertson, condemned as you are for vile law-breaking that cannot be tolerated by God and man, unite your thoughts and voices for the last time with your fellow mortals in addressing your Creator.
We all shuddered at the thought of final judgment, and young Geordie Robertson looked near in tears. All of a sudden, Wilson, a big strong man, grabbed twa of the soldiers, yin with each hand, threw himself over a third, and he shouted,
Run, Geordie, run!
We were all stunned, Geordie as well. But then the congregation began to shout.
Geordie!
That's it, run, Geordie.
Run!
Robertson shook himself free of the last soldier and ran. Nobody was inclined to stop him taking this last chance for his life. He gained the door and was gone. Wilson went to the gallows alone, a hero. They drafted in the Welsh Fusiliers for Wilson's hanging. Queen Caroline was taking nae chances with the mob that day. Awbody kens the story, how Andrew Wilson met his Maker at the hands of Captain Porteous the most hated soldier in Edinburgh town.
Why is the prisoner no manacled, officer? Get the handcuffs on, do it! Now!
They wanna fit Captain Porteous, sir. He's our muckle.
Oh, for God's sake, I'll do it myself! There, Wilson. Your thieving hands will no stray far now.
You're an animal, Porteous. An animal. Have mercy on me, man.
He's bleeding! My God, look at that! Aye, Porteous, you're a bloody animal!
I should be thinking on my making in my last moments. Can I full of pain?
And what signifies that, man? Your pain will soon be over.
Your cruelty is great, Porteous, but mind on this. You may hae need yourself of the mercy you would gain out to your fellow creature. May God forgive ye.
There he goes, poor man. By God, Porteous, you're the devil himself, as ye should swing!
What was Porteous thinking? To fire at the crowd? Innocent folk. 6 or 7 people killed in cold blood.
20 of them, I heard, Reuben. Women, bairns and all. A massacre, they're saying.
Well, they've been flinging stains, nae doot.
It's hardly a proportionate response, Mr. Deans, even if they had.
You're a silly called Reuben Butler, with your bits of argument.
The handcuffs were eaten into Wilson's flesh, Father. I heard it from Mr. Saddletree. He saw it all.
His pain was great, but he was a tower of human dignity in his final moments, so they say. But what on earth possessed Porteous to open fire on the crowd? Madness.
Aye, well, he's to hang for it himself now. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
The tables he turned.
Our Porteous will hae plenty of time to reflect on justice now, up there behind bars in the heart of Midlothian.
The heart o' Midlothian. The name they gave the Tolbooth prison. A dark and wanless place I'll no forget this side of the grave. I canna say or even think its name without my ain heart heaves and hurts me. God forgive me. I wasn't attentive. I should have taken the trouble to visit Effie at the Saddletrees more regular. I did in the first few months. But I was doing Effie's work as well as my ain now. We grew our kale and vegetables. We had the chickens and had the cows to milk, the butter to churn, the cheese to mark and sell. My days were full.
Yon brown hen stuck laying all together, Jeannie. I'll hate to wring its neck.
Can you no gie her a chance? She was laying fine last month. I'll hae a look at her when I've hung up this washing.
There's nothing to see. It's for the pot.
Oh, we'll hae company with your kale. Here's old Rory Bean and his maester hurtling over the brae.
Surely noon. You could set your clock by the laird of Dumpy Dykes.
Aye, and yon's about all the use he is. Although he never spoke about it, Father had high hopes I'd be Lady Dumbydykes yin day. I couldn't think of a worse fate. I never kenned what the gummerel might be coming out with next.
Jeannie, woman! Jeannie! It's a broad day for the drying.
Aye, it's fine.
Oh, there now, Rory. Oh. And how's all with you, Jeannie?
Fine, fine.
Ah, Jeannie, woman.
He sat on Rory Bean like a king on a throne, ogling at me frae the saddle with those gleekit green eyes.
Jeannie.
You'll tak some kale with us, Laird?
Ah, well, that. Where's the good man?
Feather's in by.
Aye, well, I won't tell him the news of Porteous.
Oh, aye, he was hanged the morn, was he no?
Ah, well, that's just it. He's got the Queen's reprieve.
Here, chicky chick, chick. Come here, my wee hinny. Now let's have a look at you. If yon Porteous can keep his neck frae the robe, I'm sure we can do the same for you. Jeannie? Effie?
Jeannie. Jeannie, I'm sorry.
Effie? What's wrong? Are you no well? My, but your cheeks are like ash. What's happened, Effie?
Oh, don't ask me.
Look at the state of your clays. What have you been? Why are you no at Mrs. Saddletree's?
I can't go back there, Jeannie. I've brought shame on her, on you, and Feather. Oh, and then again, what to gang, my life's a ruin.
Are you having a bairn, Effie? Is that it? Tell me.
Oh, my bairn. I'll never see my bairn. It's dark. Jeannie, it's all dark.
Oh, Effie, dear, wheesht, I can't make sense of you. What are you saying?
I heard it cry, Jeannie. I've milked the gate and my bairn will be hungered, but I can't find it. Oh, help me, Jeannie, help me.
Where's the feather on your bairn, Effie?
No, do not ask.
Is it yon man you were daffing with last summer?
I can't tell you, leave it be.
Calm yourself, Effie. Come awa into the house. I'll get you into your bed. Here, wrap my plaid round you, and Feather'll no see the state you're in.
Has that cousin of mine nae sense in her? No to tell us Effie's illness. The lassie's cheeks are near sunk into her skull.
I'll tack her some broth once she's had a sleep.
Aye, Jeannie's the woman to cure the sick, Davy. There's nobody can beat her broth, the breadth of Midlothian. My, look at yonder, Davy, man. We have some grand visitors today. Must have got one of your cooking, Jeannie.
What's this? What's this?
Oh, there's a coach drawn up at the door, Feather. Good day to you, sirs.
Is this the residence of Maester David Deans?
Aye, that's me.
We hear a warrant to search for and apprehend one Euphemia or Effie Deans.
Effie? May the Lord in his
She's
mercy...
accused of the crime of child murder. I take it the accused is in the house.
Aye, she is, but you can't just...
Euphemia Deans, you're under arrest.
God. Effie.
Murder? But Effie wouldn't. Oh, she'd never.
Jeannie, I got him.
Oh,
Jeannie.
Feather!
Oh, Jeannie, woman, Jeannie.
Oh, dinna just stand there, Laird. Help me raise my Feather up. He's struggling for breath. Mercy, sir. Have mercy on me. I never hurt my bairn.
Tell that to the judge.
Oh, please, sir. Wait, Jeannie. Feather, you know, tell us. Do not let them attack me. Forgive me. Forgive me, Feather.
Vile harlot. She's disgraced the blood of an honest man. I'll kill her, by God. I'll kill her with a word and a look.
Davy, man, wanna sell her help. Here, take my money, man.
No, Laird, no seller. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It's the law of God and the law of man. Leave me, sir. Leave me. I'm in Warsaw with this trial in privacy and on my knees.
We were in the depth o' affliction. I wished Reuben was here to gie us his wise counsel, but he didn't come. As the day wore on, I joined Feather in prayer, and we read frae the Bible till sleep overtook us. We'd nae thought o' the storm that was brewing in Edinburgh town, nor that Reuben and Effie were in the very eye o' it.
We must keep good order, friends. Good order at all costs.
Aye, Madge. The lady's mine.
Let me pass, if it please you.
Ah, but it doesn't please us, maester. We're fine ladies, and we hate to be pleased.
By your voices, your men, however many petticoats you sport, let me pass, sirs.
Oh, you munna rub Madge wildfire up the wrong road. Eh, Madge?
You won't get through the city walls tonight, man. The ports are all barred. We're boarding up the wickets. Are you a clergyman?
Mayor Licht, bring her the torches. I can't see the bloody nails.
I'm in orders, but not yet placed as a minister.
Ah, it's Mr. Butler for Liberton. You've discharged the duty as wheeler's only man.
You must turn back with us, sir.
For what purpose?
You'll find out soon enough. But you must come with us. We'll force you if necessary. I warn you, Butler. Keep your eyes to the front. Look no man in the face. And remember, tonight is only a dream.
The crowd was thousands strong, but orderly and eerily quiet. Reuben was at the front with the Amazon called Wildfire. They swept up to the high street and with nae violence disarmed the city guard, destroying their drums and silencing the rain, so the alarm couldn't be raised. Then they headed for the heart o' Midlothian.
The troops of the Dun for the castle have went anyone through!
Try it with fire!
Aye! Decent touch! Fire it in!
Porches! Porches! Thrust them on the boat!
Well, Rostaman is in prison door!
Are you mad? We'll have him die where a murderer should die, on the common gibbet, where he spilled the blood of so many innocents.
For God's sake, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. It's not for you to wreak upon your fellow man.
An eye for an eye, Butler. The law of retaliation. Take him, men. Bring Porteous out, but let no man hurt him. We'll carry him to the grass market. Let him make his peace with God there if he can. Mr. Butler here will see to that. We may kill his body, but not his soul.
Come in.
Jeannie. Mr. Deans. Oh, may God comfort you, my dears.
Ye hae heard then, Reuben?
Yes, I was in town. The saddle trees told me about Effie. God comfort you.
He does, my friend, and he will. But I hae been ever proud of my sufferings in the good covenanting cause, and now I'm to be tried for it. And I will bear my lot with submission. The question is, what will the lightsome and profane think of the guide that canna keep his ain family from stumbling? I canna speak it. I canna.
Father had to leave the room. We could barely bring ourselves to look at Reuben, with such shame now flung on us. Shame that touched on all connected with Effie and our family.
I tried to get into the toll booth to see her, Jeannie, but they closed early because of the Porteous business. I'd have come sooner, but I couldn't leave the city. The mob had barred all the ports. God forgive them. They burned down the toll booth door, dragged Porteous out and strung him up on a Dyster's beam.
Oh.
I saw it all.
The deal's turned loose on the world, Reuben.
Well, the prisoners of the toll booth certainly are. The mob and their madness set them free. The heart of Midlothian's an empty tomb.
My God. Where's Effie then? Is she out with him?
I don't know. I don't think so. One of the mob, a painted madman in women's clothes they called Madge, was calling for her in the prison, but I didn't see her.
Reuben, I'm glad you've come. For I hate to tell you, all mun be ended between you and me.
Ended? Why? How can you break our promise, Jeannie?
Reuben, you're a man of spotless name. You deserve to rise high in the kirk.
What do you mean?
This stain'll never be forgotten. Will it no stick to us, to your bairns, and to their very bairns? Oh, my God.
My dear, my love, please, listen to me.
No, Reuben.
My ain distresses I can bear. There's nae need for buckling them on other folks' shoulders.
Jeannie, I'd hopes that I was more to you than simply one among other folk. I'm charged with a message to you, Jeannie.
Oh? And who gave it?
A stranger. A young man I met on my way here through the park.
And what did he say?
That he's sorry he couldn't meet you at the hour proposed, but wants you to meet him tonight at Mushet's Cairn as soon as the moon rises.
Tell him I'll come.
I pray to God I'll never see him again. There was something utterly desperate about him. Why are you so willing to meet him?
I hae nae choice in the matter.
Who is he, Jeannie?
I dinna ken.
You don't know. You promised to meet a young man at such a time and in a place so lonely. You say you're compelled to do this, but don't know him. Jeannie, what am I to think?
Just that I speak the truth. I must meet him. There's life and death in it.
Won't you at least tell your father? Ask him to go with you.
I canna. I daurna.
I'd had a letter frae this same stranger that Reuben had met, saying Effie's life depended on me meeting with him. I'd half a mind to show the letter to Reuben, and maybe I would have done, but the Laird o' Dumbydike's arrived, and a package frae Mr. Saddletree, a copy of the indictment against Effie.
You'll hate to get an advocate, Davy.
Advocates? I ken them well. Carnal, crafty self-seekers. Slaves of Satan, every one of them.
Well, surely someone suitable can be found.
And it'll cost you, Davy. I'll pledge £30.
Nae lawyer shall speak for me that hasna concurred in the testimony of the brave and worthy champions of the Covenant.
But, Father, we need help. She's confessed to having a bairn.
It's a sword thrust into my heart.
Can't I be of use? I've only the coat on my back, but...
Oh, Jeannie, woman, dinna greet. Oh, Mr. Butler, do you no think her eyes are like lammer beads with their tears?
Can we stick to the point, Laird? Was someone with Effie when she gave birth? Has she been asked about it? I'll fly to the toll booth. There must be more here than meets the eye.
I wish I was as young and supple as you, Mr. Butler, and had the gift of the gab as well.
You take no rash steps, Jeannie, till you hear from me. I'll return directly.
I waited the hale lang day to hear frae Reuben, but he didn't come. He'd been arrested. He was recognised at the toll booth as yin of the mob frae the Porteous riot and hauled up afore the magistrate.
Look you, Mr. Butler, Queen Caroline is not best pleased with Edinburgh. Someone must swing for this lynching of Porteous.
Indeed, sir. But the mob dragooned me into their service. I was trying to leave the city. Please, don't detain me any longer. I must return to St. Leonard's. I'm afraid for my friend's life. And God knows what this desperado may do to her if she meets him alone.
Mr. Butler, you're a young man and bear an excellent character, so much I will testify in your favour. But I may tell you, the waiters at the West Port observe something like the trepidation of guilt in your conduct.
God forgive them. They willfully misrepresent me. I am entirely innocent.
Officer, bring Ratcliffe in. Now, Mr. Butler, this desperado, the man you say you met in the King's Park, you're sure there was something familiar about his features?
There was, yes.
Do you suppose that Jeannie Deans will accept his invitation?
I fear she may.
You needn't fear. We'll be there to assure her protection. And here's the man we'll bring with us. Mr. Butler, meet Mr. Ratcliffe, a most notorious thief.
Aye, but he turned over a new leaf.
We must all strive in the Lord's work.
That's true enough, Minister.
He's here, I may say, Mr. Butler, under sentence of death.
Aye, and so are we all, Your Honour, as yon Minister said in the Tolbooth Kirk the day Geordie Robertson ran off.
Was Robertson among the rioters last night, Rat?
How should I ken? I wasn't here. I could have bid for my freedom with the rest of the rabble, but I had taken a fancy to this place, and I'm expecting a new post in it.
A whipping post, mair like.
Under Turnkeel, do me fine. I hear there's a vacancy. Tax the thief to catch you, and I know, Mr. Butler.
This Robertson, who or what is he, Ratcliffe?
Well, he's no for Edinburgh, that's certain, sure. He's been a soldier and a play actor, and a devil among the lassies.
A play actor? One of your men last night in women's clothes, perhaps, butler, your wildfire dame?
I can't say, sir. Their faces were smeared in soot and red paint.
Was Robertson in on this Porteous job?
I tell you, I was in the toll booth here. I didn't care.
No, that won't do, Rat. You're condemned to hang. For the 4th time, to my knowledge. We cannot let you loose in the public again unless you do or say something to deserve it.
Well, it's a queer way of beginning a trade in honesty. But damn it. I saw Geordie Robertson among the boys that broke into the jail, and I saw him speaking to the wench Effie Deans. There. I suppose that'll do me some good.
That deal, did you? Well, Mr. Butler, put that together with your desperado that's to tryst with Jeannie Deans at Mushet's cairn. Sure as I live, Robertson's the father of the lassie's bairn. Officer, bring in Madge Wildfire. Now we're feeling some heat. Prepare to meet the genuine article, Mr. Butler. There's bedlam in the heart of Midlothian this day.
Have it all Beelzebub, all of us squeaking for fear.
You're in good voice, Madge, and dressed out in your bras, I see. These are no your everyday clothes you have on.
It's no ilka day I hear the company of magistrates and ministers, my bonny Mr. Sharp at law. Take my feathers and finery as a compliment. Get into you, Daddy Rat. They tell me you were a hanged man. Or did you slip the noose again?
Wish you daft Jordan. Hear what's said to you.
Get back, my doctor! Get back to me!
You can't come in here, woman. Away with you.
My bairn! I want my bairn!
In God's name, another lunatic.
Get out of here, you wildcat!
What do you want, good wife? Who are you?
What do I want? You gutter bloods with your lordships and honours. I want my bairn.
It's Meg Murdochson, sir. Madge Wildfire's mother.
Madge Wildfire, me like. Come out from under yon table, you hussy. She's maybe not as wise as other folk, but they haven't suffered like she's done. What right are ye to lock her in the jail and have her can't defend herself? I can prove she's never seen Jock Porteous alive or dead.
My mother's sair upset, sir. She's maybe had a quarrel with her old man. That's Satan, you ken. And I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it.
It's me that's paying for it, you crazed bitch. They rip the clays off our backs, tak what penny o' siller we hae, and haul us to the correction who's in Leith Wide.
Your daughter's safe enough, woman. She'll no swing. Officer, take the old Carlin out of here.
I'm as honest as ye, ony day. You bloodsuckers, born beggars and bred thieves.
Let's crack on with the business, or I'll be too late for that game of golf I promised the procurator. Come here, Madge. Let the minister see you. Will Butler, do you know this Madge Wildfire, as she calls herself?
So I am, though I was in something better. But I can't mind when that was. I glance at the wildfire, I glance at the town. I'm seen on the causeway, I'm seen on the
I never saw the poor
town.
demented creature in my life before.
Then she's not the Madge Wildfire you saw last night?
No, they're both tall, but there's no other resemblance.
Were they dressed alike?
Oh, different altogether. He was wearing an old brown gown and a red cloak.
Madge, my bonny woman, what did you do with your everyday clothes yesterday?
Didn't ken? Yesterday's a dream I can't mind.
Maybe you would mind if I gave you this half-crown.
It might guard me laugh, but it wouldn't guard me mind.
Damn your crazy prick.
Let me try her, sir. Madge. Madge, my honey. Are you only darlings now?
If anybody asks you, Daddy Rat, say you didn't ken.
Oh, you can't be an old maid so young, Shirley. I dare say ye hae yin.
I've made an yin. There's Rob the Ranter, Will Fleming, and Geordie Robertson. My ain gentleman, Geordie. So there. What do you think of that for a jangle of Joes?
Och, Madge, you'll maybe win herts dressed out in your bras, but in your ilka day clays, there's nabody'll look at you.
You're a lean old sorrow, Daddy Rat. Gentle Geordie wore my old brown thrishy coat yestreen and my red cloak, and he gaed through the town with him. Gauzy and grand he looked like ony queen in the land. What did you with the bridal ring
You're paying your rent, Ratcliffe. Here's direct evidence. You'll guide us to Mushet's cairn tonight. Gentle Geordie's our man.
I'm not exactly sure just where the place is, Your Honour.
There's no half road to saving your neck, Rat. You can't protect Robertson now.
I think I might know the place, sir. Perhaps I could...
You're going nowhere, Butler. For the time being, you're under arrest.
Madge here kens what it is.
Take her away, young skirling limmer. Waste woman.
Use her as bait. Her and Geordie are old Joes. If he hears her singing, he'll likely come to her.
There's something in that, maybe. Aye.
Madge, lassie. Are ye for a wee donner wi' me the night? To Mushet's cairn?
Nickel Mushet, you say? He'd be blithe to see you, Daddy Rat.
How's that? Nickel's dead and buried with his wife these 10 years.
I still hear blether, though, at Mushet's cairn. I spak with him Friday last. The wife's neck's fair mishacked, though, with the stabbing and twisting he gied her. She wears her corpse sheet drawn up to hide it, but that can't hinder the blood seeping through.
God's name, woman.
I tell her to wash it at St. Anthony's Well. The holy water'll cleanse if onything can. But they say blood never bleaches out o' linen cloth. I tried Deacon Sanders' new cleansing drops on a bairn sheet at home last week, but they didn't work. It didn't work. But we'll hae a braw bleach in the night. Me and Mushet's wife. In the licht o' the bonny Lady Moon.
It was a harvest moon, a blood-red disk when it first rose out of the King's Park. I waited till Father was asleep, then wrapped my plaid about me and stepped out into the night. By then, the moon was high in the starlit sky. Ilka shadow o' rock and wind garred me shiver with the fear o' hidden spirits. On a sudden, a black figure rose up frae the mound o' stains that was Mushet's cairn.
Are you the sister of Effie Deans?
I am. Tell me, are ye the cause of my sister's ruin?
Yes.
Oh, God forgive you.
If you wish her life saved, listen to me and promise you'll obey my directions.
Say first what you want of me.
No. You must first swear, solemnly swear
I'll swear if it's lawful.
I'm warning you. I can match Mushet's crime with another just as horrible. A bullet through your skull, and you'll sleep with his wife till eternity.
Oh, sir, spare my life, spare me.
What? No promise?
I can promise nothing unlawful for a Christian.
Damn you, woman. I only meant to frighten you into giving your word. Effie can be saved, but...
Is she guilty?
Innocent. Innocent of everything except that she trusted me.
And is the bairn alive?
I don't know. I don't think so. The person I charge with helping at the birth murdered the child or has disposed of it. But not by Effie's knowledge or consent.
You said her life could be saved.
Yes, and by you.
How? In God's name, tell me.
You saw your sister before the child was born?
Aye.
She must have confided in you. Told you she was having a child.
She never said...
Nothing would be more natural. And her doing so would, as their absurd cant goes, take the case from under the statute. Because, this is the nub, it removes the quality of concealment. If a mother hides the fact she's having a child, and that child is murdered or even missing, then premeditation of murder is presumed.
She's confessed the birth of the bairn, though.
Yes, but concealment of her condition prior to birth is the issue here. Believe me, I know their jargon, and the quality of concealment is essential to this statutory offence. Effie must have told you she was pregnant.
She never spoke to me about it, but she wept bitterly when I mentioned her changed looks.
You asked her questions?
Aye, but...
Then you must remember that she answered you with this confession. That she'd been ruined by a villain who assured her he would provide safety for her and their child. That's all you have to say.
But how can I remember what Effie never told me?
Are you so dull? It doesn't matter whether she said it or not. If you're afraid of the judge and his cronies, you needn't be. They'll rejoice to see such a lovely young woman slip the noose.
But I hate to call on God to witness the truth of what I say.
This is splitting hairs, woman. There's no falsehood except that it wasn't told to you till now.
God will ken the falsehood.
And he will know the motive.
He has given us a law for the lamp of our path. I may not do evil, even if good were to come of it.
Shh! There's someone. It's Mad Madge with company. Damn her! I dare stay no longer. Tell no one you saw me, and remember, your sister's fate is in your hands.
She's here, Radcliffe! Over here! Mr. Serpent-Law! Your name is Jeannie Deans, and you are my prisoner! But if you tell me who he is, and which way he ran, I'll let you go.
I dinna ken, sir.
We will try to mend your memory then. I see him! He's on the edge of the blade! Chase, lads, chase! Radcliffe, hold this woman till I come back.
I said... Hold ye still, Mr. Jeans.
And keep yon screeching peahen quiet!
Wheest, Madge, wheest, Madge. Madge, you're hollering Sir Geordie Wheel, and he's safe awa. Now's your ain chance. You'd best run for it, Madge.
I'll allow Daddy that and leave you to blow the bellows of hell.
This is a braw nicht for you, Jeannie Deans, to be in the green hill with your Joe. Lads and lassies dinna meet at Mushet's cairn at midnight to crack nuts.
If you're an officer of justice, sir, you deserve to have your coat stripped from your back.
Maybe I'll strip your cloak off first.
Keep pity, sir, for God's sake.
Never fear. I won't harm you. Aye, I was for being an honest man, but it's been a hell of a day. Tell you what, Jeannie, I ken a place we can rest, and we'll leave Mr. Sharpet-Law to whistle on his thumb.
Dinna speak so loud. He's up yonder.
Who? Robertson?
Aye, by the ruins of the chapel.
Oh, by God! Wait for me here!
I could see that drink had dulled his senses, and I sent him on a wild goose chase. I never followed my ain wee collie with as much speed when the coos were in the corn as I now cleared the distance hame. I prayed all night for God to guide me through this sair plight, either to sacrifice my sister by telling the truth, or commit perjury to save her life. If only Reuben would come, but there was nae word. By and by we heard he'd been declared innocent and released on bail. He was charged to stay at Liberton and wait to be called as a witness in the Porteous case. Effie was questioned, but she wouldn't speak a word o' her gentle Geordie. They asked us and all, Father and me, but we ken naething o' Geordie's whereabouts. He'd vanished into the night. I hae an order frae the Bailey to see my sister, Effie Deans.
I ken that fine, lassie.
Oh, it's you. Oh, I didna ken.
Aye, it's me, Daddy Rat. I hae a special charge to stay in the ward with you all the time you and your sister are together.
Jeannie. Oh, my dear Jeannie. Effie, my dear. Oh, you're ill. Oh, my darling. You're very ill. Oh, what would I no gie to be staying called deed? I hae nae friend left in the world, Jeannie.
Hoots, lassie. Dinna be so doomsdoon-hearted. There's mony a Todd hunted that's no killed.
Oh, Effie, if you'd spoken a word to me about having your bairn, if I were free to swear but yin word o' how it stood with you, they couldn't touch your life. Could they no? What told you this, Jeannie? Yin that kenned what he was saying well enough. Was it him, Jeannie? Oh, why else would take an interest in such a cast by as me? Was it George? Oh, I can see it was him, Jeannie. Oh, poor lad. And I was thinking his heart was as hard as a millstone, and him in such danger himself.
Effie, he suffered all this, and you can still think of loving him.
Love him? If I hadna loved as I've loved, I wouldn't be in the heart of Midlothian now. Oh, he loved me, body and soul. But his life in danger to set me free. He came for me, Jeannie. He hacked the prison door down to win me.
Aye. You should have run out of your way, lass.
No. What use is my life now I've lost my good fame?
He broke into the toll booth to hang Porteous, Effie, no to save you.
Aye, well, maybe for both, I'm thinking.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, you ken where he put my bairn. Oh, Daddy and I, where had they put my bairn?
You should have asked it to old Meg Murdochson, Mad Madge. But it's all late for that. They've left the town, I hear.
What did George want of you, Jeannie?
He wanted me to perjure myself.
And you told him you wouldn't come between me and the death MTD?
I told him I daurna swear an untruth.
I'll tell you the untruth. Murders, the untruth. I laid down my life for my bairn.
I believe you, Effie.
Oh, I'm glad you did me that justice. It's virtuous folk like you, Jeannie, with your fear o' temptations that cast the rest of us into hell.
I didn't deserve this for you, Effie. I'd lay down my own life to save you if it would.
Oh, yeah, you want to say a word for me?
That word is a grievous sin.
Never speak more of it. Good day to you, sister. You're keeping Mr. Ratcliffe waiting.
I must say it's damned hard. Just a wee word would give the lass a chance.
Are we to pay it this way? Oh, Effie, look up at me. Tell me what you'd hear me do.
Oh, no, Jeannie. In my best, I was never half so good as ye. And why should you make yourself worse to save me? Neither I'm no worth the saving.
Oh, Effie, dinna.
Oh, God knows I ken in my sober mind I wouldn't wish any living creature to do wrong to save my life. I might have fled for the toll booth with yin that would carry me through the world and fend for me. But I said then, and I say now, let life gang when good fame is gain afore it. My spirit's broken, Jeannie. Whichever way I look, Meg Murdochson's face is stretching out, making moves and laughing at me, like she did when she told me I'd seen the last of my bairn.
Lassies, I hate to tell you, your time's up now. You'll hate your part.
Try to sleep, my dearest.
Aye.
A lowering mist had settled on Edinburgh town next morn, the day o' Effie's trial. My heart was happed in the same grey haar. Wi' feyther on my arm, his head bowed in shame, we walked frae St Leonard's to the court.
She'll swing, bigod! And here leave! Unless she wins the royal reprieve!
Shame on you, hussy! It's your father and sister, let them through!
I turned to find it was the Laird o' Dumbidyke speaking up for us. God bless him.
I do Stevie Deans! He's fell off his pulpit now! It's a seat on high for you!
Have you nae compassion? Let them through, I say!
The crowd made way at the Laird's sign, and he led us into the court.
The macer says you have to bide in a side room, Jeannie, to wait till you're called as a witness.
Oh, can I no stay with my father, Laird? He needs me by him.
You hate to be separated. Your testimony must be influenced if you bide in court.
My Jeannie kens her ain mind. She winna stray frae God's truth.
Whisht. Here's the judges coming in.
Bring in the prisoner. Euphemia Deans.
I had to leave father then, and was hurried out by the macer. I was left on my lane. The minutes stretched out to eternity. The gloom with the dark oak panels minded me of the valley of the shadow of death. Effie's death. Her life, my ain sweet sister's life, hung by a thread that my tongue could cut. I went down on my knees and prayed to God to guide me.
Jeannie Deans, they're ready for you.
As I entered the court, Effie stood up and reached halfway out the bar to me.
Jeannie! Oh, Jeannie, I never touched a hair on a wee bear! Save me! Save me!
I looked over to my father. His hands were clutching at his brow.
Jeannie Deans, daughter of David Deans, cow feeder at St Leonard's Crags, before this court take the solemn oath and repeat after me. The truth to tell and no truth to conceal.
The truth to tell and no truth to conceal.
As far as you know or should be asked.
As far as I know or should be asked.
In the name of God, as you will answer to God at the great day of judgment.
In the name of God, as I will answer to God at the great day of judgment.
Young woman, it is my duty to tell you that the truth, whatever its consequences may be, the truth is what you owe to your country and to that God whose word is truth and whose name you have now invoked. With that in mind, use your own time to answer the questions that the counsel for defence will put to you. Mr. Fairbrother, you may proceed.
My lord. Jeannie Deans, has anyone instructed you what evidence to deliver?
No, sir.
Has anyone promised you any favours or good deed or reward for your testimony?
No, my bairn is no like the widow of Tekoa. Nae man has put words in my daughter's
My
mouth.
lord, who is this? This widow Tekoa? Has she been tampering with the evidence? With respect, my lord, this is a violation of the law.
He's referring to the book of Samuel, man. Let the defence get on with it.
Sorry.
Mr. Fairbrother, proceed.
Thank you, sir. Jeannie Deans, you are, I think, the sister of the prisoner?
Yes, sir.
And had you not remarked your sister's state of health to be altered during the latter part of the term, when she had lived with Mrs. Saddletree?
Yes, sir.
And she told you the cause of it, I suppose?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I must ask, in your lordship's judgment, whether this be not a leading question.
If this point is to be debated, then the witness must be removed.
That won't be necessary, my lord. I will reshape the question. Pray, young woman, did you ask your sister any question when you observed her looking unwell?
I asked her what ailed her.
Very good. Now, take your own time. And what was her answer?
Effie's eyes were fixed on me, glistening with a desperate hope. Father's face was the same. I kenned in that moment he believed that Effie had confided in me. But I'd sworn afore God to speak the truth.
Take courage, young woman. I asked you what your sister said ailed her when you inquired.
Nothing.
Nothing? You must mean nothing at first. But when you asked her again, did she not tell you what ailed her?
Alack! She never breathed a word to me about it.
Father slumped frae his seat to the floor. Effie struggled to get free of the guards that held her so she could gang to him.
I killed him! I
They took Feyther out to the side room for some water. I sat with him there while his spirits revived, but when the jury returned, I went back in. We all kenned what the verdict would be. The judge gave it, then called for the doomster to read the sentence. A tall, haggard man stepped forward, like a storm cloud frae hell sweeping into the court, his black and grey robes glinting with their silver trim. He was the executioner and all, a fearful figure. The hale room held its breath as his voice boomed the final, fatal words.
And upon that day, betwixt the hours of 2 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you, Effie Deans, will be conveyed to the common place of execution, and there hanged by the neck upon the gibbet. And this I pronounce for doom.
In The Heart of Midlothian by Sir Walter Scott, Jeannie Deans was played by Gerda Stevenson, Davy Deans by Tom Fleming, Effie Deans, Irene Allen, Reuben Butler, Robin Lang, Dumby Dykes, John Buick, George Robertson, Simon Donaldson, Madge Wildfire, Pauline Knowles, Meg Murdochson, Anne-Louise Ross, Ratcliffe, James Bryce, Sharpet Law, Laurie Ventry, and Captain Porteous, Simon Tate. Other parts were played by the cast. The Heart of Midlothian was dramatised by Gerda Stevenson. The director was Bruce Young.
And upon that day, betwixt the hours of 2 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you, Effie Deans, will be conveyed to the common place of execution, and there hanged by the neck upon the gibbet. And this I pronounce for doom.
6 weeks we had afore my ain sweet sister Effie was to swing on the gibbet. And for the murder o' her bairn, Effie, whose loving heart would melt ye. 6 weeks, an eternity to her, locked behind bars in the heart of Midlothian. But I was counting every second.
The Heart of Midlothian, dramatised by Gerda Stevenson, from the novel by Sir Walter Scott, Episode 2.
The doomster's black words told in my heart as we left the court with the crowd. But a different tune was striking up at the back of my mind. Porteous. Queen Caroline had granted him a reprieve. My blood was louping in my breast with the fire o' a new hope. I left Feyther with his cousin, Mrs. Saddletree, and went straight to the heart o' Midlothian. I told Effie she would come out in the face o' the sun, for I would walk to London and beg her pardon frae the King and Queen. If they pardoned Porteous, they would pardon her and win 1,000 hearts by it. Ratcliffe, the old devil rat o' a turnkey, gied me a bit paper with his name scrawled on it. He kenned all the thieves and tricksters the country o'er, he said, and I'd be safe frae harm if I just gied them his note. He told me to try the Duke o' Argyll afore I tried the King and Queen, for the Duke was Scotland's friend. I learned that day the lesson my beloved Reuben I preached. There's good in all God's children, and Ratcliffe was surely one of them. But what was it a day for money? I'd no a bawbee to my name. Oor Walth was in the cattle and the bit land they grazed. I swallowed my pride, and early next morn, I chapped on the door o' the Laird o' Dumbydykes.
Jeannie! Jeannie, woman. Come in by. Come in.
Nah, Laird, I canna gang in. I hae a lang day afore me. I mun be 20 mile ayont your gate afore the moon rises if my feet will carry me.
20 mile? On your own feet? And nae shoes?
Aye, I canna wear them out when I'll need them for meeting the Queen. I'm going to London to ask her for my sister's life.
London? The Queen? Oh, you're demented, lass.
Sink or swim, I'm going.
But what'll you bide, woman?
With my father's cousin, Mrs. Glass.
Oh, you on with the tobacconist shop?
Aye, at the sign of the Thistle. I'll look her up. But I'll hae to beg my way frae door to door the long road south, and unless, Laird, you'll lend me a small sum to pay my expenses, a wee thing will do it. I see you're no for assisting me, Laird. Fare you will.
Oh, no, Jeannie, woman, wait. I'd hae said it afore, but it had stuck in my throat. Here, you see this panel on the wall? Ah, well, this is my bank, Jeannie. Many your goldsmith's balls for me. I'll make you Lady Dumbydykes afore the sun sets, and you may ride to London in your own coach if you like.
Nah, Laird. My sister's case would discredit you.
Well, that's my business. Here, if you'd rather tak what siller you need, and we'll marry when you come back.
But, sir, I can't marry you. I like another man better than you.
What? That's no possible. You hae kenned me so long.
Aye, but I hae kenned Reuben Butler longer.
Reuben Butler? The dominie at Liverpool, the deputy dominie? Son of my cotter? Aye, well, you may bring a horse to water and such a silly mare, but you canna make her drink.
Good day to you, Laird. I'm sorry to hae troubled you.
I'd naething in my pocket but a bannock and cheese. I carried a change o' linen, my white stockings and my shoes in a blanket, saving them for royal company. My tartan plaid was happed around me to keep me frae the cold.
Jeannie! Jeannie, woman!
I wasn't 5 minutes down the road when the Laird came harpling along on Rory Bean.
Jeannie, woman! Bide a minute, will you? They say you shouldn't attack a woman at her first word.
Aye, but you mun tak me at mine, Laird.
Then at least you shouldn't attack a man at his first word. Here's my cellar. You'll need it.
But, Laird...
Oh, woman. Marry all the butlers in the country if you must, but take it. Whether you pay me back or no.
God bless you, Laird. And the Lord's peace and the peace of the world be with you if we should never meet again.
He waved me on my way, the kind soul. I was anxious to be heading south, but stopped by at Liberton to see Reuben.
I'd have been at the trial, Jeannie, but I've been in bed for a week with a sickness.
You're as thin as a stick, Reuben.
How is it with Effie? Did the judge show mercy?
No, but I'm going to London to get the royal reprieve.
What? But Jeannie...
I'm going, Reuben. Your grandfather served under the Duke of Argyll. Did he know?
Well, under the current Duke's forebears, yes, but...
Those papers from his regiment and the letter you showed me, I need them, Reuben. They'll give me an introduction to the Duke.
Oh, this is madness.
Just let me have them, dearest, will you?
But Jeannie, you cannot undertake such a journey without a man to protect you. I'll go with you.
Reuben, you're weak with standing here for less than 5 minutes. Now give me those papers and get back to your bed. You need to protect yourself.
I was walking 20 miles a day, and sometimes further. The Pentland Hills rolled awa at my back. The Lammermuirs were shouldering to my right. The the Cheviots rising afore me. The weather was douce, with a blood-red harvest moon to greet the gloaming maist days. Across the border into Northumberland, with nae scathe to life nor limb, at last I saw the muckle stains o' Durham Cathedral against the sky.
Hey there, missus.
Aye?
Can your devil's Scotch hooves not dance in shoe leather? Eh?
It's old Nick Stripes he's wearing. Hey, did you borrow your blanket from hell, canny lass?
I was attracting attention, harped and tartan and going barefoot. So I folded up my plaid in my bundle and put on my stockings and shoes. I could hear my father's voice telling me this fashion o' wearing out shoe leather was nothing but England's national extravagance, and it surely was, but I judged it safer to travel unnoticed.
With a clutch on my foot and my shoe in my hand, I glanced like the wildfire through borough and land. A braw good night to you, Jeanie Deans. What think you of the bonny hill yonder, lifting its brow to the moon? Yon's maybe the gate to heaven you're so fond o'. I'd gang there with you, but my mother here's fonder o' hell.
Hold your tongue, you moon-crazed bitch.
Do I ken you, ladies?
Ladies, did you hear that, mother?
We haven't met afore, surely.
Aye, but we hae met. And though you dinna mind me, I ken ye, Jeanie Deans, and I ken where you're headed.
Wheest, Madge.
They tell't us in Newark o' the Scots lass, ganging to London to see the Queen.
Wheest, you damn fool. And guard the old nag trot, or we'll no get past the Gunnerby Hill.
Hold on to me tight, mother. Trot awa, Naggy, trot awa. With my clutch on my foot and my shoe in my hand.
I minded yon moonlit night at Mushet's cairn, and a mad woman's waeful lays that laced the air, making George Robertson flee. If this was the same mad sangster of yon fearful night, what on earth was she doing here?
There she is. That's her. Jeanie Deans, stand and deliver.
Your money, my precious, or your life.
I've only a few coins, gentlemen, but you're welcome to take what I hae.
Do you think we don't know it's your fine little arse that's keeping your gold warm? We'll have every penny, or we'll strip you till you're cold Scotch skin.
I'd advise you to read this paper first.
I would, if I could. Here, Frank, what's it say?
It's a jack from Jim Ratcliffe. We'll have to let her pass. Cause it's law.
The hell we do. Ratcliffe's turned bloodhound, working for the lawyers that were to string him up.
More reason than to let her pass. We may need a good turn from Daddy Rat before long. We'll take her with us to Mother Blood.
Oh, for the love of God, didn't ask me to leave the road.
I'll beat your brains out, you bitch, if you don't cough up.
You touch her, Tom, and I'll rattle the beans in your guts. Never mind him, girl. He won't lay a finger on you if you walk with us. But if you don't...
I'm coming with you. I'm coming.
Get in there.
Oh, God, it's not your foul porridge for supper again, is it, Mother Blood?
Did you find her? What the hell are you brought her here for? I tell you...
Calm yourself, woman.
You were to strip her and leave her on the common.
Please, oh, for God's sake, will you let me on my way?
You bastard horse and take you!
Get down, stinking hellcat. I'll keep my promise, never fear. She won't go to London, but you won't touch a hair on her head. Huh?
Oh, Frank Levitt, are you killing my mother? And where's this you brought for company? Davy Dean's doctor bedding down at a gypsy's barn.
Please, don't keep me, let me go.
Get to your kennel, Madge, and take the girl with you.
Mammy, hear me say my prayers before I go to bed and say, God bless my bonny face, like you used to, Lanside.
Get you to hear, you guttered blood bitch, or I'll brand you with my fire tongues. And then I come near us till the cock crows.
Madge dragged me into a stall that was separated from the rest of the barn. It was filled with straw, and the moonlight slanted through a slat in the timbers.
Well, Jeanie Deans, did you ever in your life see such a dainty chamber?
It's a welcome resting place. I'm gey weary frae the day's trail.
Madge! Madge! What in hell's name have you done with the horse?
He's haying his supper.
Where's the nag, you daft dilly?
In Gaffer Gablewood's wheat close.
What? The blazey young wheat'll do for our guts.
The constable will do for us if he finds that guzzling the gaffer's harvest. Go, Tom, get it out of there. And don't bring it through the soft ground. We don't want a trail leading here. You'll be the death of us, Madge, you crazed bitch.
I dinna ken what makes me so sleepy, Jeanie. I never sleep till bonny Lady Moon gangs to her bed. My bairns are buried in yon kirkyard, sae far ayont the sea. I was young dead myself. I think my poor bairn's dead. I've had it on my knees 100 times since it was buried. And how can that be if it was dead? Where's me? Where's me?
Rest, Madge. Rest yourself if you can.
And it is but my blithesome guest that speaking now to thee.
She fell at last into a deep sleep. My mind fastened on how to escape, but I'd have to walk past Madge's wild mother and Frank to get to the barn door. I could see them through a chink in the boards, the old woman's face like a skull lit by the dying embers, and I could hear their prattle clear enough.
Listen, woman. I know you helped me in a tight place, and I owe you one. But you've got to tell me what this is all about. What's it to you if the lass goes to London?
Well, if she gets the Queen's pardon, the sister'll slip the noose and Geordie'll marry her.
Who cares if he does?
Oh, I care, damn you. I'll strangle Effie Deans with my own hands afore she's preferred to my Madge.
Geordie'll never marry a mooncalf like Madge. Not in a million years.
Listen to me, you crackroad podder. Suppose he never marries my Madge. There's no reason he should marry another.
But what's it to you?
Have you never tasted revenge? Oh, the sweetest morsel to the mouth was ever cooked in hell.
If it's revenge you want, take it out on George himself.
I canna. Oh, I wish I could. But I canna.
Why not? You'd happily see him hanged for this Porteous business, I've heard you say.
I'll tell you why. Because I've nursed him at this withered breast. And though he bit me like an adder, I can't take his life. He was the first bairn I ever nursed. Oh, a man can never ken what a woman feels for the first bairn she's held to her breast.
Oh, yeah, mother blood, wet nurse of the loving cup. I've heard another story.
It's no me harms bairns. Madge, poor thing, had her misfortune with yen, and Effie Dean's brat. Well, I'd swear Madge threw it in the Norloch.
That's a great leap, Mother. I did no such thing.
Wheesht, you laying bitch.
Are you walking, Jeanie Deans? The sun's split in the sky.
What time of day is it?
Time you were up. There's been some sport while you slept. The constables arrested my mother for the horse eating the man's wheat. Oh, come out with me, Jeanie. We'll take a dander. It's a broad day.
I will, Madge. Just let me get my bundle.
Oh, are you for slipping a law, Jeanie Deans? Is that your game?
I didn't want to leave my gear for thieves, Madge.
Come on, and I'll show you the green fields o' England that Geordie loves, the bonny.
Will we walk along the high road out yonder, Madge?
I like it better here, but this wee hillock, a day.
What's wrong, Madge?
Let me alone! Does me good to weep. To wet this turf with my tears so the floors grow fair and the grass may be green.
What's the matter, lass?
There's matter enough, more than a poor mind can bear. It's only my grave'll give me rest. Rest for me and my poor bairn.
I'm very sorry for your misfortune.
Sorry? What would you be sorry for? The bairn was a blessing, or it would have been if my mother hadn't... If she
what?
There was once an old man with a bit of land and buckets o' siller. And my mother wanted me to marry him. But I wanted Gentle George, and he wanted me...
Who's Gentle George?
He was Geordie Robertson when he was in Edinburgh, you ken, but that's no his real name.
Oh.
That what you sticking your nose in for, Jeanie Deans. It's no business you used to be asking folks' names. I've a mind to scour my knife between your ribs.
I didn't mean to pry on you. I'm sorry.
You see yon magpie, hip-hopping. Yon's how the old man limped and hurpled, but nae so lightly. My mother said I had to marry him. But then my bairnie came, Geordie's bairn. My mother said the old devil wouldn't attack me for his wife if he kenned I had a bairn, so she smothered the life out of it and sunk it deep into the turf. Right here, Jeanie. Here. And I think she buried my best wits with it, for I've never been myself since. And would you believe? The old devil turned his nose up at me after all my mother's pains and wouldn't marry me anyway.
We trailed through some woods that opened into a graveyard, with a kirk, a stream, and a bonny wee village beyond. Blossoms of wild cherry trees studded the blue sky. I sat on a gravestone to rest.
Get up, you ungrateful wretch! You'll no sit down on my father's grave.
I'm sorry.
Read to me what's written there. Go on, read it.
This monument was erected to the memory of Donald Murdochson, a sincere Christian, a brave soldier, and a faithful servant by his grateful and sorrowing master, Robert Staunton.
Aye. Well read, Jeanie. It's just the very words. Now I'll take you to meet my daddy's sorrowing maester, the Reverend Robert Staunton. He would have been the grandfather o' my bairn.
Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye do not discern this time?
Madge dragged me into the kirk, right up the aisle to the front. I could tell that the minister and his hale congregation kent where she was by the way they looked at her. She smiled at them like a queen, then slumped down in a pew and fell fast asleep.
Come on, Jeanie. We hate to gang back to Mama's barn, or we'll be out late and my mother'll be angry.
I'm not going back with you, Madge.
Can we come on all this way to pleasure you, young grateful cutty? I'll be brained by my mother-in-law for you.
Oh, what's this, Madge? Have you brought another Bedlam Bess with you this time?
Oh, keep her off me, for God's sake, she's mad.
What's it, Madge? Here comes Beadle.
What's brought thee back again, thou silly donut, to plague this parish? Has thee brought more bastards to lay at honest men's doors? Away with you, Madge, to your thief of a mother. You'll find her in the stocks at Baxton Town Inn. Go on! Go on or I'll beat the daylights out of you with a skein!
She ran off with the village bairns, chasing her heels, tugging at her skirts and taunting her. The beadle said he was to take me to the minister, Mr. Staunton, the rector, he called him. I was to gie an account of mysel and mak sure I didn't come to be a burden on the parish.
The rector might be some time before he sees you, lass. Always a lot on his mind, waiting for his son to be brought home. Young Master Staunton, he's fallen from his horse.
Oh.
A few miles from here and he's badly injured. I'll call you when the rector's ready.
I waited a while, then in came a couple of men carrying the rector's son. His head was bleeding and bandaged, and he looked at me with eyes like coals.
Stop, men, a moment. A moment, please. I must... Young woman. I know you, don't I?
I didn't think...
Master George, you'll be the death of your poor father, you will. He's worried sick. He's got the doctor here waiting for you. Bring him through, men. Bring him through.
There was something familiar about Maester George, right enough. He said nothing more, and was carried awa through the house.
Here's the young woman, sir.
I'm afraid you must forgive me for inviting you into my bedroom, Jeannie. But I've no choice. I'm confined to my sick bed.
There's some mistake, Shirley. I thought it was the rector I was to see. The servant said the maester.
Leave the room, James. We mustn't lose time when we have so little. Open the shutter of that window, Jeannie, and look at me. Do you remember me?
No, sir. I was never in this country afore.
But I've been in yours. Remember Mushet's cairn in the moonlit night?
In God's name. George Robertson. Effie's... But are you no the minister's son?
I am. George Staunton. Though you know me as Robertson. It's not entirely a lie, Jeannie. I am, after all, Robert's son. Ah, would you pour me some cordial? It's on the table there. I'm afraid I'm weak with this injury. I can't get up.
There is cordial for the soul, sir, if the wicked will turn from their transgressions.
Oh, spare me your puritanical cant. Here I lie, like a crushed snake, when I was trying to save a life that's dearer to me than anything. How is she? How is my darling?
She's condemned.
Yes, to death. I heard. And I was on the only good mission I've undertaken for years, would you believe, when my horse, my dear old horse, stumbled and broke both of us. But you, Jeannie, what brought you to my father's door?
I'm ganging to London to beg the royal pardon, but some ruffians held me up on the road and took me to a mad woman and her mother.
Not Madge and that old hag.
Aye, Meg Murdochson. She's trying to keep me from saving Effie.
Almenta. She's plagued my life.
Meg says you've plagued hers, and she'd kill you for it if she hadn't nursed you as a bairn.
The thought sickens me. God damn her. Did she curse my life? Her and her crazed daughter.
Madge is a poor soul, Mr. Staunton. The loss of her bairn has cracked her wits.
I know. I know I wronged Madge. And her mother is hell-bent on making Effie pay for it. Oh, I see I'm beyond the pale in your eyes, Jeannie. And I suppose I am. Have you looked around this rectory? My glorious inheritance. Pleasant retreat, isn't it? The Willingham estate.
Indeed, aye, it is.
Well, I wish it were 10,000 fathoms underground, with its churchlands, ties, and all that goes with it. If it hadn't been for this cursed place and my father's selfish ambitions for me, his damned religiosity, I'd have been allowed to follow my own inclinations. I'd have been a soldier, Ginny. And all the energy I've wasted among smugglers and deer stealers would have got me a decent rank among my peers.
We canna wish your lives awa, Maester. Our path is in our own hands if we listen to God's word.
I promised Effie I'd marry her, Jeannie, and I meant to.
Did Meg say what happened to Effie's bairn?
She wouldn't tell me. Madge told me that her mother had removed the child or destroyed it during Effie's fever.
Effie says the same.
I tried to free Effie from the Tolbooth, Jeannie. The night we strung up porches, but she wouldn't come.
She was right to remain, and I'll love her all the mair for it.
Don't judge me, Jeannie Deans. Porches deserved all he got, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Andrew Wilson may have been outside the law, but he had a big heart and was a father to me when I needed one. My own father had disowned me.
He seems to have brought you back in the fold now. So what's your point? Why did you ask to see me?
You're hard-hearted, Jeannie. My God, you are. I wanted you to know that when my horse fell, I was on my way to London to give myself up to Sir Robert Walpole in exchange for your sister's life. I intended to surrender in person, you understand. The worthless life of the heir of Willingham, the notorious George Robertson, breaker of the Tolbooth prison and well-known leader of the Porteous mob.
But would that save my sister?
Certainly. Queens love revenge just as much as their subjects do. A poison to please all palates, from the prince to the peasant. But you must go. My father will be here in a moment. If you speak with the Queen, and I believe you will, give her my worthless life with my compliments. It's a bargain she won't refuse.
George's father gied me a horse and guide, and I was on the road again at last. But my mind was racked with doubts. My father would maybe say that exposing George for his public crimes was a kind of providence, an act of retribution for his crimes against Effie. But what right had I to save my sister's life by sacrificing the life of another? A man who'd done me nae harm. George Staunton's crimes were against the state, no me. And I kenned fine, as the Halo Scotland did, that the murder of Porteous was tied up with the idea of ancient national independence. Edinburgh folk were angry with London for imposing laws on their kirk. The ministers had to offer a reward every Sabbath to those that could turn in the murderers of Porteous. Nobody had come out with information, and I trembled at the thought of being branded a betrayer of Scotland's cause. Yet, here I was again, to part with Effie's life when a word from me might save it. I prayed to God for help. It seemed to be his will to try me far beyond my own strength. At Stamford, thanks to George's reverend father, I took the coach to London. The coachman helped me with directions to my father's cousin, Mrs. Glass, whose shop on the Strand was weel kent, the sign of the thistle above the door.
Oh, aye, Jeannie. I supply all the Scots folk hereabouts, both high and low. The Duke of Argyll gets a snuff from me, comes in regular, and his groom Archie. Oh, what a nice man. Will you take a scone with your tea?
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Glass.
I'm sure the Duke will give you a warm reception, being my cousin as you are, Jeannie. He'll be asking for me, nae doubt. Oh, he's aye looking for news of the north from me. Oh, aye, there goes the Prince of Scotland, Scots folk say when they see him in my shop. Oh, I'm forgetting. There's a packet arrived for you from Edinburgh.
Oh, it'll be the papers from Effie's trial, Mrs. Glass. I asked a friend to send them on to me.
Oh, look, whether the Duke can do anything for Effie... I mean, King George is away in Europe and Queen Caroline's in charge and she's maybe just the regent, but oh, she's a tyke, that one. Mair fierce than her man by a long road. And no very happy with Scotland or the Duke, they're saying, with this Porteous business. Oh, aye. It's a sair fecht for poor Effie.
There's a country lass from Scotland here, Your Grace, asking to see you.
From Scotland? Well, what can have brought the silly fool to London? Well, send her in, Archie. Bad manners to keep her waiting. Well, my bonny lass, did you wish to speak to me or to the Duchess?
My business is with your honour, my lord. I mean, your lordship's grace.
Leave us now, Archie. Well, sit down, my good girl.
Oh, thank you, your grace.
Now, what is it?
Your honour, I beg your lordship's pardon. I mean, your grace.
Oh, never mind my grace, lass. Just speak out a plain tale and show you have a Scots tongue in your head.
I'm muckle obliged. Sir, I'm the sister o' Effie Deans, who is ordered for execution at Edinburgh.
Oh, dear, yes. A case of child murder. Duncan Forbes mentioned it at dinner the other day.
And I've come down frae the north, sir, to see what could be done. I hear there's a law for reprieving her, if it's the King's pleasure.
There is. But my poor girl, you've made a very long and sad journey to very little purpose. A reprieve is purely a matter for the King, or the Queen at present. I have no means of averting your sister's fate. You must know that it is the law of God and man that the murderer must surely die.
But, sir, Effie, that's my poor sister, sir, canna be proved to be a murderer. And if she isna, and the law attacks her life, where's the murderer then?
Well, I'm no lawyer, but I agree. This statute's a very severe one. But right now, I'm afraid I haven't the least influence with the sovereign to procure the smallest favour. What on earth could tempt you, young woman, to address yourself to me?
It was yourself, sir.
Myself? I'm sure you've never seen me before.
No, sir. But the world kens that the Duke o' Argyll is Scotland's friend, and the poor man's friend, that ye fight for what's right and speak for right. If ye winna stir to save the blood of your innocent countrywoman, what can we expect frae southerners and strangers? These papers may interest you, sir. Given to me by a friend whose grandfather did your own grandsire a good turn in the past.
Yes. This is my grandfather's hand, surely.
He promises in return that your family will help the Butler family in their need.
Yes, I see that. And Benjamin Butler was your grandfather, I suppose?
No, sir. But the grandfather to a neighbour's son's, sir, a sincere well-wisher o' mine.
Oh, I understand. A true love affair. He was the grandsire of the young man you're engaged to.
I was engaged to him, sir. But this business o' my sister...
What? He's deserted you because of it?
Oh, no, sir. Reuben would be the last to leave a friend in difficulties. But I mun think of him. He's to be a clergyman, sir, and it would disgrace the likes of him to be married
You are a singular young woman. You seem to think of everyone but yourself. Now tell me, why do you think your sister is innocent?
Because she hasn't been proved guilty, sir. As you'll see frae these papers, this is the evidence frae the court and Effie's declaration.
Please do sit down again, my good girl, until I glance over them.
I watched him as he read. He seemed to grasp the sense of the words in an instant. He looked up at me and was about to speak, but then went back over some bits of the papers, like he was marking them in his mind.
Your sister's case must certainly be termed a hard one.
God bless you, sir, for these words.
It seems contrary to the genius of British law to punish with death for a crime that the prosecutor cannot show has been committed at all. But I'm no lawyer, and I must speak with some of our Scottish gentlemen of the gown about the matter.
Oh, but, sir, what seems reasonable to your honour will certainly be the same to them.
Well, leave these papers with me, and you shall hear from me tomorrow, or the next day. Take care to be at Mrs. Glass's, and ready to come to me at a moment's warning.
Mrs. Glass was in a fever o' excitement to ken the upshot o' my meeting with the Duke. I didn't want to jeopardise Effie's chances by letting words loose on the air, so I kept my comments general. She was at pains to take me out to see the sights of the great city, and I was hurt sair I couldn't. I had to wait for word frae the Duke.
Jeannie! Jeannie, come downstairs! The Duke of Argyle's carriage is here. He's waiting.
The Duke sat with me in the coach himself. We drove to the outskirts of London and beyond, through green fields garlanded with forests and filled with herds of sheep and cattle. I'd no idea where we were bound.
Young woman, I believe that a great injustice may be done by the execution of your sister's sentence, and one or two liberal lawyers with whom I've spoken are of the same mind.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Hear me out before you thank me. Now, I have asked an audience of a lady whose interest with the king is deservedly very high. It has been allowed me, and I am desirous that you should see her and speak for yourself. You needn't be abashed. Simply tell your story as you did to me, and remember to look at me from time to time. If I put my hand to my cravat, like so, you will stop. But I will only do this when you say anything that is not likely to please.
Would it not be better for you just to tell me what to say, sir?
Oh, no, Jeannie. That wouldn't have the same effect. Speak from the heart, as you did to me, and I'll wager my last plaque you'll get the king's pardon.
At last the carriage stopped, and the Duke led me on a quiet pathway through the shadows of a maze to a guarded door in a high brick wall. The grass was a velvet carpet under my feet as I walked on the Duke's arm under high arched elms. The avenue opened into a garden where twa ladies stood in a crescent of roses.
Well, Argyle, you've been something of a stranger at court lately. I hope Lady Suffolk and I find you in good health.
I have been well, thank you, madam. But the necessity of attending public business before the House and a recent journey to Scotland have sadly prevented me from paying my respects at court.
When your Grace can find the time for a duty so frivolous, you will be well received. I hope my readiness to comply with the wish you expressed yesterday to Lady Suffolk is sufficient proof that one of the royal family, at least, has not forgotten ancient and important services.
I am deeply gratified by the honour which Your Majesty now pays me, and grateful to you too, Lady Suffolk, for your kindness in representing my wishes to Her Majesty.
It is always a pleasure to be of assistance to your Grace.
The Duke hadn't said, but I thought the taller of the twa ladies, who did most of the speaking, must be the Queen. She was bonny and graceful, though her face was pitted by the smallpox. The Duke told her o' Effie's case and all about my journey. She listened and watched me like a bird on its high perch.
My Lord Duke, you are well aware of the gross insult done in your capital city to the royal authority, and at the very time I was in charge as regent. As a peer and a privy councillor, you have access to the king without my intervention. I, at least, have had enough of Scotch pardons.
Certainly the Porteous case is not speedily forgotten, madam. My own thoughts on it are...
We will not prosecute a topic on which we are likely to differ. As to this young woman's sister, the question of her innocence is neither here nor there. She has been convicted under the law, as it presently exists, and the law must be respected.
If Your Majesty would condescend to hear my poor countrywoman herself, perhaps she may find an advocate in your own heart more able than I am to combat your doubts.
Speak up, young woman. Tell us what sort of savages your countryfolk are, that child murder is become so common in your barbarous land.
If your ladyship pleases,
There are other places besides Scotland where mothers are unkind to their own flesh and blood. The Queen fair blushed, and the Duke gave me the warning sign, brushing his cravat with his hand. If I'd kenned then the stories about the Queen's lack of love for her ain son, the Prince of Wales, I'd have kept my mouth shut. I'd no idea I'd nearly shot my hopes staying deed afore I'd started. Then the other lady spoke up.
Perhaps you can explain to Her Majesty the particular causes which render this crime so common in your country, my dear.
It's the cutty stool, if your ladyship pleases.
The cutty... the what?
That's the stool of repentance, madam, for adultery, you ken. Breaking the seventh command.
Oh, are you all right, my Lady Suffolk?
Yes, I just...
The Duke gave me the warning sign again. I'd no idea of the hotbed I'd strayed into, but Mrs. Glass told me later it was common knowledge that Lady Suffolk was the King's mistress. And the Queen kent it, too.
The Scotch are a wretchedly moral people, don't you find, Lady Suffolk?
Yes, something stuck in my throat.
Words can have that effect, can't they?
I'll be excused if I may, Your Majesty. I need some water.
Certainly, Lady Suffolk. Well, now, young woman.
Your Majesty?
You have travelled all that immense way on foot, I hear. You must be exhausted. And all to no purpose, I fear. For even if the king were to pardon your sister, your people, in all probability, would hang her out of spite. The Edinburgh mob are among the most savage in Europe when roused, as I know to my cost.
I'm confident, madam, that both town and country would rejoice to see His Majesty take compassion on a poor, unfriended creature.
My dear, your whole disaffected, intractable nation is in league to screen the savage murderers of my loyal soldier, Captain Porteous. For all I know, your sister may be part of the conspiracy. Tell me, young woman, were any of your friends engaged in the Porteous mob?
No, madam.
But I suppose if you were possessed of such a secret, you would hold it a matter of conscience to keep it to yourself.
Jock Porteous is dead, your ladyship, and gane to his place. And they that he's slain him must answer for their ain act. But my sister, my poor sister Effie, still lives, though her days and hours are numbered. She still lives, and a word of the king's mouth might restore her to her broken-hearted father, an old man who never, in his daily and nightly exercise, forgot to pray that His Majesty might be blessed with a long and prosperous reign, and that his throne and the throne of his posterity might be established in righteousness. Oh, madam, if ye ever kenned what it is to sorrow with a sinning and a suffering creature, whose mind is sae tossed that she canna be called fit to live nor die, have compassion on our misery. Save an honest house frae dishonour, and an unhappy girl no 18 years of age, from an early and dreadful death. Alas, it isna when we sleep soft and wake blithe ourselves that we think on other folks' suffering. Our hearts are waxed high within us then, and we're for righting our ain wrongs and fighting our ain battles. But when the hour of death comes, that comes to high and low, lang and late may it be yours, oh my lady, then it isna what we hae done for ourselves, but what we hae done for others that we think on maist pleasantly. And the thought that ye hae intervened to spare the poor thing's life will be sweeter in that hour, come when it may, than if a word o' your mouth could hang the hale Porteous mob.
This is eloquence. Young woman, I cannot grant a pardon to your sister, but you shall not want my warm intercession with His Majesty. Take this little needle case. Now, do not open it now, but at your leisure, you will find something in it which will remind you that you have had an interview with Queen Caroline.
In the coach on the way back, I opened the bonny needle case, embroidered with golden flowers and silver vines. Inside, among silks and shining needles, I found a bank bill for £50, enough to repay the Laird of Dumbydykes and much more. I ken we shouldn't prize worldly possessions, but after all these years, Queen Caroline's needle case still lies in the drawer with the Bible here at Roseneath. Roseneath, an outcrop o' land in the west of Scotland, a portion of paradise on this earth, thanks to the Duke o' Argyll. Effie was pardoned, and the Duke heaped his kindness on my hale family. He set my father up on a cattle farm here, with Reuben as the new minister of the parish. We've been married years now, Reuben and me, and our bairns are grown. 2 braw lads and a bonny lass. She looks just like Effie. Effie Deans. I'd ha' walked to the ends of the earth to save her, my sad, wild-hearted sister. I tried in vain to learn the fate of her bairn, but poor mad Madge died lang syne.
Arthur's seat shall be my bed. The sheets shall ne'er be pressed by me.
A bloodthirsty rabble beat her to a pulp at Carlisle as she watched her mither swinging frae the gibbet. Effie went abroad to learn to be a lady. She married George, the love of her life, and rose to become Lady Staunton, the toast of London. Never a word breathed about their story. Their life was a lie, and they lived it for a while. But you cannae run frae your past. It aye comes back to hunt you, and George, the fool, was seeking it out. An unchancy tale came to licht. Meg Murdockson's last confession afore she swung. She'd sold Effie's bairn, a wee boy, to a tinker woman, and George couldn't rest till he found the lad. They'd come north, Sir George and his braw lady, with news of their son, determined to find him. There are times when fate swings full circle, and yin storm-racked night, we were swept into the ring.
Jeannie, oh, Jeannie, my dear, dearest.
Reuben, what's the matter? What's happened? Where's Sir George? Is he no with you?
Where's Lady Staunton?
She's upstairs, taking a rest.
For God's sake, keep her out of here. Bring him in, men. Bring him in. Lay him down on the floor here.
Oh my God! Reuben! Oh, George! Is he...
The life's gone from him, Jeannie. Shot by that marauding bunch of tinkers over at Caird's Cave. But the captain's caught the lad that fired.
Our neighbour, the Duke's captain, brocht the laddie in, a wild, black-eyed creature, his arms tied at his back. I kenned the minute I saw him. The high, proud brow, the Staunton curls, Effie's wide, full mouth and chiselled cheekbones. He was our ain flesh and blood. Effie's lang-lost bairn stood here among us. And he'd killed the man he never kenned was his ain father. Awake, laddie. Here, laddie. You mun be hungered. Get some meat in your belly.
Oh, I can't sit up. Like, the cords, they're...
Here, I'll slacken them. There. Right. Eat now and speak quiet. We don't want to walk in the house. What's your name?
Whistler?
Oh, but your Christian name, the one they gave you when you were baptised.
I was never baptised that I know of. I'm the Whistler, just.
You're to be hanged the morn, the captain says. What would you do if you could escape through this place?
I'd revenge the deaths of all us tinker folk and the Jacobites he had slaughtered. Ye and your red-coat butchers.
Do you ken what will come of you when you die?
I neither feel cold nor hunger more.
Do the cords hurt your ankles, lad?
Aye, they're cutting me deep.
But if I were to loosen them, would you harm me?
No, I would not. You never harmed me or mine.
Here then. Is that better now?
Let me out. Unlock the door.
I canna. I wanna. Unless you promise.
I'll find your candle in the straw if you don't.
No, don't. Put it down.
Well, both of us will roast in hell.
The room was alight, flames licking. I opened the door and he ran past me, threw up a window and was awa. Effie was never telled about her lad. She'd enough grief to fill her furrow through life. She returned to London and blazed bright again for a while, but no lang. She wrote to say she was leaving for France, returning to the quiet convent where she'd learned to be a fine lady to match her braw lord. My father would be warsling in his grave if he kenned she'd turned Catholic. But Reuben says I'm in respect Effie's choice. Any religion, however imperfect, is better than none, he says. I miss her, my ain sweet sister, the Lily o' St Leonard's. And I'd do it again, and mair. I'd walk to the stars and back to save her. For I do believe in my heart o' hearts that when our time comes, as come it will, it isn't what we had done for ourselves, but what we had done for others that gies us peace o' mind.
In The Heart of Midlothian by Sir Walter Scott, Jeannie Deans was played by Gerda Stevenson, Madge Wildfire by Pauline Knowles, the Duke of Argyll, Ralph Riech, Queen Caroline, Joanna Tope, George Staunton, Simon Donaldson, Dumby Dykes, John Buick, Meg Murdochson, Anne Louise Ross, Frank, Robin Lang, Tom, Joseph Arkley, and Mrs. Glass by Rose McBain. Other parts were played by the cast. The Heart of Midlothian was dramatised by Gerda Stevenson. The director was Bruce Young.
The Girl Who Didn't Want to Be by Frederick Bradnam, with Simon Cadell, Joanna David, Christopher Benjamin, and Angela Pleasance.
I do wish they'd do their practice with handbells and at the other end of the village. Can't, can they, though? Dong, dong, I go on too long. I was a poet. I'd write a nice poem called Summer Evening in the Chancel. Well, probably Betjeman already has. Starts, The vicar's wife was arranging flowers and thinking of her suburban girlhood. Was I? Oh, Lord, somebody come to see. Is Tim there? Well, I hope not, because he can be ours and I'm getting hungry. Sneak a look. Oh, he's there. A lone visitor, not a coachload. Oh, thank you, Lord. Good-looking old chap. Tanned by a son not English. Looking at the crowns with scrutiny. Inquiry, yes. Now he's found the one he wants, I'm sure. Oh, here cometh Tim. Now, don't be long, please, Reverend Timothy Turner.
Good evening. Do you know about the crowns up there? Virgin crowns. Unique to this church, you know. People come from far and wide to see them. If a person is born, baptized and dies in the parish above the age of puberty, 14 actually, and is a virgin, then the next of kin can ask for a virgin crown. With a sort of calling of the band, so that if anyone wants to object, they can. To the giving of the crown, that is. When granted, the crown is placed high on the nave wall, as you can see, with the details beneath it. There's a short ceremony and...
that one. I knew her. She shouldn't be up there. Good evening, Vicar.
Ah. Good evening. Extraordinary fellow.
I was listening.
No, hello, darling.
Well, which crown did he mean?
No, he pointed to that one. Margaret Joan Bell, 1920 to 1938.
We've always said, haven't we, that there are some up there who probably ought not to be.
She was 18. I suppose that some girls were promiscuous in 1938. I mean, at her age.
Oh, for sure, darling. As in 1838. Well, some girls are, always.
Yes. It is mentioned in the Bible. Margaret Joan Bell, 1920 to 1938. Short life. So long ago.
Within living memory. I wonder how she died.
Perhaps our verger would know.
A lot of what Harold Thorpe knows he keeps to himself, as you well know.
I think he finds me too young to be a vicar.
Well, at 32 you are.
You wait until you reach 30, wife. Then you'll know how age suddenly descends. Actually, old Harold is giving out a bit now. We've done nothing terrible. We've been here a year, so he's prepared to accept it.
He's accepted me? Oh, yes, he has. And it's not easy to see, but he has.
I know. You can be very nice. And sexy. I'm hungry. Let's leave the bell thrashers to lock up and go and feed our faces,
Nice today, Vicar. Getting dark. Still warm, though. You staying?
Yeah, for a moment, Harold.
Good place to think in as a church. For a clergyman, it is.
Do I look as if I want to think?
Brood on something, anyway.
How many visited us today?
There's 5 names in the book.
A couple of days ago, there was a man who didn't put his name in.
Well, some don't want to, some forget, and some can't write. I'll leave you to lock up then, Vicar. Good night to you.
Good night, Harold. Father, hear me. What is it? I mean, this is my calling. I'm contented. I have a wife I love who loves me. Fine church, interesting parish, beautiful countryside. Or is it all too cushy? This last week, my soul's been troubled. I haven't a clue. I have searched to find. There's a restlessness. I wake at dawn feeling as if something has to be done, or something is wrong in the doing. Hello? Who's that? I'll put the lights on. I'm here. Do you see me now? Where the Lord are you? I'm here. This is ridiculous. Now, look, listen. I mean, whoever you are, and And wherever you are, please stop playing this silly game.
Hello? Hello?
I'm sorry. Oh. What do you want? Hello and goodbye. Well, I think this is some sort of trick. Well, go on. If you... How did you get in? And if you've gone, how did you get out? Hello? Hello? Tom? Are you there? Not a dicky bird. No, there was no one anywhere, Pam. No, not a dicky bird. Anywhere.
And all she said was hello?
That's all. From the rafters at one moment, behind my back the next. Hello. I'm going to open another bottle of wine. My nerves are not what they were.
You hadn't been at the communion wine before, had you? Or at the pub's strong ale?
The communion wine you need to lace with LSD. Now I come to think of it, it was exactly like an hallucination. Voice in the head. Perhaps I'm on my way to a sainthood. Cheers.
With an awful long way to go, and you might pour me a glass.
I'm sorry. I wonder if I can levitate or something.
Or something. Or somebody was playing a trick.
I know. A nasty, dirty trick.
I don't know why, do you?
Oh, it's for a lark. I wonder how. Tomorrow I'll look for the wires.
Wires? Oh, you mean loudspeakers hidden away?
Something like it. Must be. Have a word with Harold also.
No, it doesn't sound like a Harold trick.
Ha-ha. But he'd know about the wiring, wouldn't he? As the Virgin.
I suppose he would. Ask him also if he knew the Bell Girl.
Bell Girl?
Was she of the Virgin Crown, Margaret Joan?
Yes, an idea. I hope he wasn't one of her chaps.
Ask him, tactful-like. Did you have a Harold?
I will, shall. You know me. I think I want my bed.
Oh, poor darling. Up you go. I'll join you in a second.
All she would say was hello. Or even hello, Vicar. Hello, sailor.
I think you'd better go to bed.
Morning, Mr. Turner. Fine day?
Morning, Harold. What bird is that, for heaven's sake?
It's a blue crow, Vicar. A roller. Pretty rare immigrant. Not a nice voice, though, is it? Goes through you, don't it?
Yes.
Friendly chap.
Talking of friends, a man was in the church the other day, visitor, who seemed to have been a friend of one of the Virgin Crowns.
Was he?
He said he knew her. She died in 1938. Margaret Joan Bell.
Behind you.
What?
That's her grave.
Oh,
I'll tidy it this week. Her family left soon after she was put down, and then the war.
Our beloved daughter who will always remain a pure young girl. I really must get to know the tombstones, you know, Harold.
I shouldn't bother, Vicar. They're a dreary lot. Nothing mytho-poetic. Or vulgarian, come to that.
Oh, I see. Well, can't expect everything, eh? The chap who knew the Bell Girl seemed to suggest that her Virgin Crown was a sort of false pretenses.
Did he know?
I haven't heard things about him.
Not for years, obviously. Her family didn't like the talk.
So they packed their bags. I take it that nobody objected to the Crown at the time.
There wasn't a dicky bird, Vicar. Now, I'd best be getting on with things.
Yes. One thing, has the church ever been wired for loudspeakers?
No. No reason. It was rewired for the usual electrics in 1961.
Well, don't worry, I'm not thinking of using loudspeakers. The insurance wanted to know, that's all.
Well, the insurance wants to know more than is good for them at times. You going in the church now, Vicar?
No, I'll be on my rounds. I'll have a look in the church later this evening. For the insurance. Leave the ladder there, will you? Right. Here we go, my lad. Perhaps this mucking around in an empty church can go to the head. I talk aloud to myself already, quite happily. Last vicar was balmy. Here we are. No sign of wiring or speakers anywhere. Not Dicky Bird. I must stop saying Dicky Bird. Was Harold using it sarcastically? Probably. Did he believe the lie about the insurance? No. No, I'm a bad liar. Which, after all, in my profession is a recommendation. Better get down. No, I'll stay up here and wait. Above the crowns, underneath the rafters. Who would think of looking for a vicar up here, even a balmy one? Now, come on, girl. It's almost exactly the same time that you said hello a week ago. And from here, I'll see how you get in. There's quite a decent view over the altar. I must see the road. I suppose Harold gets up here quite often. Clean windows. Come on, girl. Not a dicky. Nothing. No sound. A motorcycle. Much too fast. That's one hell of a dicky. Let's get to crash. Oh, my God. God, quickly down. Really, quick. Oh, my God. I'm on my way. I must have been on the pillion. Chap was driving. Perhaps she was driving, Where are they? Where was it? It must have been here. Master. It's not a dicky bit. Nothing. Quiet. Oh, here comes a car. Well, that was real enough. From the same direction. From the village, downhill, round this bend and away. It's another little... Another blasted trick!
Why a crashing motorbike? Oh, and I'm in bed before you for once. I feel exhausted.
I feel troubled. Since a bit before the hello voice.
I've noticed you've been awake at dawn recently, looking wide awake, but before I could do anything about it, I was back in the land of Nod.
The thing is, I can find no reason for being troubled. Nor restless and troubled. Only the restlessness is troubling.
Well, somebody or something's working on you.
What do you mean by that?
You know, I really don't know. Words came out suddenly, instinctive. It's all connected, the hello girl and the phantom crash. You're being troubled and restless.
Yeah, all right, I'll buy that. Cause and effect. Only why the cause?
Darling, you're just about to put your left leg into your pyjama jacket sleeve.
Right? Oh, yes. So I thought the legs were short. I mean, not my legs, the pyjama legs. Probably my mind's going. As I said before, I'm hearing things in the head. After all, nobody else has heard any of this. Not a sound.
Well, you're a bit young to grow mad as a clergyman, aren't you? Noises in the head, Tim. Are usually pretty, silly, random things connected somehow to the person experiencing them. Well, they are, aren't they? Or have you had girls saying hello and motorbike crashes with a girl screaming tucked down in your subconscious somewhere since a boy?
Hardly, darling. I suppose we can exclude the possibility of the supernatural.
Well, for the moment, yes.
For the moment?
Well, until we've ruled out the dirty tricks, simulated hauntings.
Yes. Why a crashing bike? I mean, girl's voice is okay, ghost stuff, but a crashing bike is sheer fantasy.
Well, because perhaps there was one once, a real bike crash.
Not unlikely. Oh, you might have warmed this side of the bed.
The night is very warm, sir.
Church was cold. That bike sounded odd, I thought. Yeah, but it could be just... It was the sort of noise motorbikes no longer make. Once there was a crash, and the story got around that on certain summer nights the crash could be heard. So some joker puts it all on tape and, I can't think why, plays it out to keep the tale going. Why?
Well, have some fun at the expense of those of a religious disposition. Attack the church's foundations, church with a capital C. Send the young vicar batty.
Are there people concerned enough with the presence of the church to do that? I mean, here and now.
Well, there's said to be a middle-class black magic crowd at Under Woolston, only 5 miles away.
Yes, I've heard. They go in for orgies around bonfires. One of them burnt his private, Doc Hunter told me.
Then maybe they're doing something less dangerous, like simulating ghost sounds.
Well, if they are, I'll do something even nastier to their privates than a fire can. I tell you what. What? I'll have a word with old Harold about village hauntings.
You didn't get much out of him about the bell girl, did you? So I bet he doesn't give out on hauntings.
Extraordinary old chap. Did I tell you, he doesn't think the village mythopoetic or Vulgarian enough to write interesting tombstones.
I'm not surprised. He explained to me the other day why television and film never gets Thomas Hardy right. Huh. Well, it made sense.
Perhaps he's the brains behind the whole thing.
What? Our Harold?
Evening, Padre. Evening, Sam. Mrs. Sam.
Oh, evening, Vicar. Oh, you should bring the wife in for a drink, Vicar.
I should, but then I do.
It does it good when they're young, a drop of drink does.
Make some bloody loquacious when they're old, it does.
Loquacious? Ooh, I've never been the worse for it, Vicar, whatever he says.
Silly cow, that's inebriated. Talkative, not drunk.
Ah, swallowed a crossword he had.
I'll have a pint of best bitter, Mr. Orford, please.
Well, the best's a bit cloudy. Try it if you like, but it'll be better in the morning.
I'd have a bottle if I were you, Vicar.
Ah, Harold. Well, a light ale then, Mr. Orford.
Light ale? No, that should be all right. Of course, you can't be sure. That's 20 pence to you, Vicar.
Your glass is all but empty, Harold.
It's a stout, thank you, Mr. Turner.
I never known Harold drink anything but stout, except brandy.
On high days and holidays, when I feel like it.
Are you getting to know us all, Mr. Turner? Nice lot, aren't we, eh?
Yes, jolly nice, yes. What do I owe you, Mr. Orford?
We're hardly inscrutable, are we?
42 pence, sir. Can't make it any less.
Never can you?
You're more insalubrious than inscrutable, Sam.
I've got the right amount.
Hope it didn't come from the offertory box.
Here's a health, sir.
And yours, Harold.
I taught Sam all the words he knows, other than the 4-letter ones.
And he still works on the corporation rubbish dump.
Work? He's the flipping foreman.
Get your facts right, Ernie. Supervisor of the Rural District Refuse and Disposal Central Plant.
Sam, the refuse man.
Oh, treat your scurrility with the contempt it warrants.
Get us another drink, will you?
You want a quiet drink, you won't get it in this pub.
I know. Came looking for you, actually. Had a silly question to ask.
Oh, do you expect a silly answer, then?
Possibly, probably. Are there many stories of any substance, of hauntings of any sort in the village?
Oh,
well, old Charlie Kick swears his dead old Labrador still walks his garden. There's said to be a man dressed in black robes who walks Church Lane at dusk, last seen 10 years ago by Mrs. Jarman with a bottle of gin in her.
Does the vicar know the story of Mrs. Jarman's resurrection, Harold?
Big ears. Do you, Vicar?
No, I'm sure I don't.
Oh, she's no longer with us. Not dead. She's living in Spain. Her husband was Colonel Jarman. He used to describe himself as Colonel Jarman of England. It was meant to be a joke. He's dead, but when he was alive, he and she drank heavily, and when taken by the drink, quarrelled like Irish tinkers. Sometimes they shut one another out of the house. He'd sleep in the old stables, and she'd go to the church. We left it unlocked in those days, or she'd wake up one of her friends for a bed. So, one summer night, when he'd managed to lock her out, she went to the church. The church was being painted at that time, so the dust covers were over everything. That doesn't stop Mabel Jarman, though. She gets right under a dust cover on the front pew by the pulpit and sleeps. Come 8 in the morning and 3 painters and decorators arrive.
They're not village men, from town they were. Jack will remember.
Well, not so long ago, was it? But they're not bright, and that morning they weren't so bright neither. They see what looks like a corpse under one of their dust sheets, and they reckon this is a bit impertinent. But the vicar, your predecessor, he was a man used to his own way and notoriously forgetful. So they start moving things around, and of course they wake the Colonel's lady. Jack Flower was the one who saw it first, halfway up his ladder. The corpse pushed the sheet off and sat up and bellowed. That was Mrs. Jarman's resurrection.
Yeah, the three of them came running down here, and I told them who she was, but they had to have a drink before they go back.
I do like that. But seriously, Harold, is there a real haunting? Something contemporary, I suppose is the way to put it. Makes a lot of noise.
Yes, there is. Some people claim to have heard a motorbike crashing.
And a girl screaming?
Yes, so I'm told. Heard but not seen. Has it got to your ears, Vicar?
I heard something of it. I just wondered.
Yes, you would. Well, it's more likely than the bloke in black robes, who was actually the old schoolmaster, mad as a hatter out in his gown. Now, let me get you another, Mr. Turner.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fry. Mrs. Kick. Mrs. Nightingale.
But they do look nice always, don't they? The first real flowers of summer. They do look nice.
Oh, she's terrible deaf.
Yes.
Your husband plays the organ real well, Mrs. Turner.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? Although I don't tell him so.
No, it doesn't do with men. Now, come on, ladies. Good night to you, Mrs. Turner. Say good night to the vicar for us.
Good night, Mrs. Turner. Say good night to Mr. Turner, won't you?
I will. Well, good night, ladies, and thank you for your help. As you heard, they've gone. They seem to think you played very well.
Not Mrs. Nightingale, I hope. She's as dead as a post.
And with that name.
Look what they've done for your church.
7 vases of flowers. Aren't you impressed?
Yes, very. They're nice old bags.
Tim? Oh, never mind.
Never mind? All right. Come on, let's go. It's becoming distinctly chilly in here.
Well, that's what I meant. In the last half minute, it's turned cold.
Well, it's these early summer evenings. Not to be trusted, so they tell me. Now, come on.
Well, it was warm at the door when the ladies left a moment ago.
Still is, strangely.
Tim, shut the door.
But I just... what is that?
I wondered if it was me seeing things.
Whatever it is, it's beneath Margaret Joan-Bell's crown. Sort of cloud.
It's drifting down to that pew. It's becoming a shape. Well, I'm not frightened. Really, I'm not.
I am. Settled. It's like somebody under a white sack. It's a very dirty trick, very clever. Will it answer? Hello? Hello? What is this? Now tell me who you are, please.
Don't go too near, Tim.
Bloody likely. I'm Tim. And this is Pam. Who are you?
Ted?
You called Ted? Oh, this is potty.
No. Well, why are you here?
Going out. Ted. Pin. Ted temper.
It's not a trick, Tim. Ted was in a temper.
Too fast. Too fast. He. Away.
When was this? When in time?
Time? No. Summer. Start. Evening.
Oh, now is 1976. When is your now?
Silly prick 76.
Really?
There you are. Well, is it 1938?
Can't. 18. Against Ted.
Oh, my...
I'm in the air. I knew.
You what?
Mummy, where? Lost. All at sea.
Were you once Margaret Joan Bell?
Maggie Bell go to hell. Bad. Don't care. In hell.
Not in hell, Maggie. On earth still. Some part of you is.
Can you hear us? Understand us, Maggie?
Nobody for a long time. Why? No voices.
That's your virgin crown up there, Maggie.
No bloody virgin. Sam, Ian, Dave, Fred, Tom, Ted, Charlie, Bob.
That's quite a litany, Maggie. Now, you're here by mistake.
I didn't want to be. Never. Man smell. I was burning.
Sure I should pray for you. I don't know the words.
Oh, I knew. Mummy, take me home.
We shall help you to go home, Maggie.
I hear the birds sing. See the old man. Virgin. The honourable guy. The first guy. Now. Right. Tim.
I'll ask, Maggie. I'll try to find out. It's all right, don't you?
Are you still there?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, coming, Mrs. Fry.
She's fled. Thank the Lord.
I thought I heard voices.
We were just about leaving.
Oh, my goodness, it does strike cold in here after the warm outside. I left my shopping. Oh, there it is in the corner. I'll forget myself one of these days, I will. Oh, what a funny smell. Like burning.
Oh, is there? It must be the new candle.
We'll come out with you, Mrs. Fry. Come on, Tim.
Right, yes. I've got the key. Got everything?
I've never known this church so cold this time of the year. You should have a word with Harold Thorpe about it.
Well, Mrs. Francis Fry's a great gossip. The cold church and the odd smell will be around the WI in no time.
Yes, the least of our worries, wife. I don't know what words to use. Do you?
Well, I think that we've been grasped by a hand. No, not from the grave, although I know what the Romantics meant. From a quite different plane of things. Well, universal things. We're like physicists who've discovered a new element that's upset the whole of our previous knowledge. We'll try to see it like that.
In my faith, I mean, all it means to me, all I've considered about life and death and good and evil, I've tried to sustain rationally my belief in the soul's place in eternity contradicts the idea of the spirit, some part of the soul, remaining attached to a physical, solid place on this earth, as if solid and physical in itself. I cannot believe it can happen.
Well, yet it seems it has to us, although we remain skeptics.
And could it be that we've created something out of our imaginations, gave it a sort of substance?
Well, I find that harder to believe than to believe we've had dealings with Maggie Bell's lost afterlife.
Whatever has happened, for the moment, we must keep it to ourselves.
Yes, indeed.
Do you think she could have been hanging around the church since she died? I mean, 1938, almost 40 years.
Well, she seemed to think 1976 was not her year. Time would mean nothing.
Sure she has some connection with the crash, I heard.
I'm trying to recall what she said. A pillion and too fast was some of it.
We call it she, you notice. I mean, giving it an identity.
We'll have to. Can't call it the ghost of she, can we? We should give her a name. Maggie to her spectral face. Well, Spectral Bell.
Good idea. Always name a thing. Spectral Bell, it'll be Spectral Bell objected to her virgin crown, I think.
Her short life commemorated in a great untruth. No bloody virgin was the expression before the list of chaps. And the honourable guy, the first guy.
Who's ever heard of a punning ghost? Yes. punning is said to be one of the trademarks of the devil, but by necromancers. So is she a fundamental manifestation of evil, primordial thing of the great beast, that shape?
No, Tim. She's only what's left of a lost country girl wanting her mother.
Oh, well, I'll try to think of her charitably. I'd like her out of my church, though.
Well, the local rag has back copies since the 1880s. Shall I try to find out how she died?
Well, let's not ask Carol. It's a good idea, though. I say, Guy. Hawkhurst is a Guy.
Baron Hawkhurst of Abbotsford. Well, once he would have been the Honourable Guy. But he's 80-odd. Still, in 1938...
40-odd. Probably had all the local girls by right. You know, I must contact her again, Pam. Try to make her see that she's not wanted. I don't want to go to a bishop. Exorcist.
Oh, what will you say to her? Look, old girl, do clear off. Go and bother somebody else.
Now then, old girl, let's have you. Come and say hello to a gentleman. I'm all alone. Summer evening is coming to its sweet-scented close. Hello? You going to oblige? Sorry, wrong word. Crikey. That's not the scent of flowers. That's a perfume not to be sniffed at. So you are there, Maggie?
Hello?
I can hear you, smell your perfume, but can't see you.
Hello? Shall we? I'll show you.
Maggie? Let me help you get away. Go home.
Nothing wrong. I like it. Want it always.
It's no good, Maggie, anymore. That part of you was gone.
Can you walk like Clark Gable?
I don't know. It was before my time. Listen, Maggie. Is it that crown which brings you back?
Cheap. They all laughed at it. My crown. My fanny.
No, I want to release your soul, Maggie.
The heat burned my soul dead.
No. The soul cannot be killed.
Smash on the bank. Oh, it's pain. Oh.
Please, Maggie. You mustn't go on remembering.
You're burned. I flew.
Maggie, has the great beast collected you? The evil one. Brute devil.
Filthy brute. Come here. Oh, a beast.
I wish I could see you. Can I see you somehow?
It's dark. You'll have to feel. Feel me. Here.
No, Maggie. No. Jesus, give me strength.
Oh, it's me, Mr. Turner. Mrs. Nightingale.
Cold.
Mrs. Nightingale?
Ooh, you're on the floor. You'll have to shout. I'm a little deaf. Have you fallen over? Hurt yourself?
No. I'm looking for woodworm in this pew, under the seat. You never know.
Woodworm, did you say?
Woodworm under the seat.
Never had woodworm in the seats. Never. Terrible smell of cheap scent, too.
I thought it was the woodworm smell.
What was it called? Nights of Desire. I didn't know anybody still sold it.
It's moving off, I think. How can I help you, Mrs. Nightingale?
Oh, I don't need help, Mr. Turner. I only came to put the magazines down in the porch while I was passing. Then I thought I heard voices. But I'm so deaf.
I was singing to myself.
Sounded like a woman's voice. I had no notion you sang alto. No notion.
Oh, God.
Well, I've put the mags in the porch, so I'll be away, Vicar. I'd leave the old woodroom if I was you and go home.
Good night, Mrs. Nightingale. Deaf she may be, but daft she is not. So, what would she make of all that?
The accident occurred on the 16th of July, 1938. And the inquest was a couple of months later. Well, Margaret Joan Bell was riding pillion on a motorbike which went out of control and crashed on the bend of Church Road. It seems that she was thrown off onto the bank by the churchyard and died before the ambulance arrived. Multiple injuries. Well, the driver of the bike was also injured, but not badly. The coroner said he wasn't to be prosecuted because he'd suffered enough mental torment as it was. Well, he was 21 and his name was Edward Thorpe.
We should ask Harold. I've noticed that the district is littered with Thorpes.
Oh, this one, Edward, came from the village.
He'd be the Ted our spectral Bell speaks of.
So there it is, darling. That crash, her death, has remained in the air, slipped out of time, got onto another plane.
Become a paranormal phenomena awaiting my arrival.
Well, yes, that's true in a way.
I don't know what way you mean. I mean that it was lying in wait to snap at the heels of my faith.
And I mean it was lying in wait for a virile, sexy vicar.
I mean, it's hard enough to go around exuding faith these days without having the unknown asking awkward questions. What do you mean by virile, sexy vicar?
Well, the spectral bell is still being rung by sex.
Oh, nonsense. It's the chap who came out of the blue and said he knew her.
Don't be silly, Tim. Plenty must have said that before. She went for you, got you on the ground.
Sort of vestigial sex thing. Bloody awful.
Well, how frustrating also. Well, being dead shouldn't really include sexual desire, should it?
Oh, certainly not. I mean, it's bizarre. It's the plot of a blue movie. Desire of the Dead, or such like. I mean, what I do, pray? I can't not go into my church, can I? The parish would notice. Just. No, I must be strong and cast her out somehow. I mean, I think you'd better be there with me. You or 6 female police constables. That's the sort of protection I need. Believe you me. And if I can't cast her out, then I'd have to go to the bishop and ask him to arrange an exorcism. Blue movie with horror ingredients. I mean, what do I say to the blooming bishop? Please, sir, this ghost girl tries to have me between the front pew and the altar steps. I don't think it's the sort of thing that should go on in a church and with the vicar. I mean, Mrs. Nightingale was suspicious. And her sense of smell makes up for her auditory deprivation. Vicar on the floor, drunk or mad, like the last chap. Ponging of cheap perfumes, they just managed to get some village girl or boy out of the way in time. Any other explanations? I mean, I've looked through the Bible. It's terribly unhelpful about this sort of thing. It's jolly helpful of straight sex and murder and mother-in-laws and the like, but on ghost girls with sexual hang-ups, it's absolutely useless. I mean, the way she speaks, our Maggie, it makes me sure she was proud of her bad reputation, still is proud of it. And that crown up there probably irks her. Well, you can't blame her, can you? I mean, spend your tender years screwing in every direction, get cut off in your first prime, and then find yourself a blessed virgin on a wall. I mean, that's punishment for sinning, if ever there was one. Particularly who meant to sin, enjoyed sin, didn't think of it as sin anyway, doing what comes naturally. If she'd been a holy Roman, she'd have confessed, and the whole thing would probably have remained locked in whatever circle of purgatory bad Roman girls who die young finish up in. I wish I could disapprove of the simple sins more easily than I do. I mean, lust is more natural than sinful, I'm thinking. I mean, sad or frustrating or gay or horrible or legal or lovely, but it's not really sinful. I'm sorry.
Never let it be said that I don't allow you a word in edgeways. Now, we must take action. You grill Harold about Ted and Maggie, and I'll try to have a word with the girl herself. Tell her that you're my property, and that if she doesn't lay off, I'll scratch her eyes out.
Strong stuff.
All right, Vicar. Since you got your teeth in the story, I'll tell you. Why have you got your teeth in it, just as a matter of interest?
Various reasons, Harold. The Crown, for one thing. I don't think it's right and proper for the Crown to remain. I mean, if we know for certain that she wasn't...
She was no virgin. I can't tell you at first hand. Many good ones. Well, there's only a couple or 3 still around, and I'll keep their names to myself, if you don't mind.
Oh, fair enough. At the time, surely the vicar should have known. What was his wonderful name?
The Reverend Hugo Vincent de Broke-Born. Even in 1938, he was an anachronism. A bachelor, and I reckon an old queen. The hunting, shooting, fishing sort kept his rods behind the altar. Very upper crust. I don't think he ever said more than good day to the common village people. Never went into their homes, sent the curate. Yes, he had curates, one after the other. Wretched young chaps who did the Visiting the Commoners Act. Queen Victoria was still on the throne in 1938 in the sort of village this was.
Yes, I suppose I'd have been a wretched curate. What about Margaret Bell's parents? Did you know them?
Oh, to say hello to them. Narrow, respectable people who had a small holding on Duck Lane. They didn't mix with the village. God-fearing. I believe they belonged to some sort of religious sect. But on the other hand, they had the girl buried C of E.
So they really didn't know what their daughter was up to?
Well, they put her up for a crown, like families do. If they had some idea she wasn't worthy, they shut it out. Their sort often does.
And the rest of the village?
Rest of us? Well, I wasn't going to risk making a fool of myself, not at 22, saying what I knew was only hearsay. Not with that vicar. Also, I didn't care all that much. If a virgin crown made somebody happy, who was I to gainsay them?
Those who knew at first hand, did any of them consider saying what they knew?
No, not in public. Probably they didn't care enough or had other good reasons for not admitting the offence. The rest of them, those that complained afterwards no end, in particular, they lacked the courage of their convictions. So it all went through on the nod.
Probably wouldn't happen today. And once the family had the crown up on the wall, they reckoned there would be no dissent.
Probably, but they reckoned wrong. Some folk were offended. Sanctimonious, all right, but worked up also. As far as I can recollect it, Mr. and Mrs. Bell were told bluntly by one or two of the offended why they were offended. The Bells couldn't take it, so they sold up and went. Nobody knew where.
But the crown still remained.
One or two tried to broach the subject to the vicar, but he didn't know what they were on about. Then we had a war.
If that put a stop to a lot of things, I've been told. Edward Thorpe drove the motorbike.
Ted Thorpe. My first cousin, my old man's brother's youngest son. We were good friends. Once he was healed up after the accident, he joined the RAF. He went to the States during the war and back there to live after it was over. As a family, we lost touch with him over the years. It happens, as you'll find out. He never came back here. Never could face it.
That I can understand. Well, thank you, Harold.
You'll be careful what you do, won't you?
Careful? Oh, yes, very, very careful. Now I'll collect my wife, who's alone in the church, poor thing.
Yes, you should do that. Church is no place for a nice girl to be alone in.
Temperature keeps dropping, so she's lurking around.
I'll try walking like Clark Gable.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, she once asked me if I could. Give her a quiet shout, yes?
Yes. We'll call her out.
Hello? Hello, Maggie? Hello, Maggie? Maggie? I want to talk with you. Hello?
Hello? I'd like to have had him.
Now, come on, Maggie. Let's put sex on one side. Do you understand me? Maggie?
Tim, don't move suddenly, but look by the chancel.
There she is. A real shape.
Eve coming out of the dust. Suggestive and yet amorphous.
Say if you understand us, Maggie.
Say you, say you, say you.
So something of the girl stands before us.
Scares the living daylights out of me.
Well, don't go near.
That's the last thing. Maggie, we're going to pray for your soul.
Not soul. Have. Body. My body.
You are all soul, Maggie. And you shouldn't be here.
We want to release your soul.
Her bitch. Go. Go.
No, Maggie. This is our church. You are the one who must go.
And stay where you are, Maggie.
Come. We'll do it all. Come.
Maggie, we know how you died.
No, yes. Alive.
You died, Maggie. Suddenly. Unexpectedly.
Can't die. Can't die.
Yes, that's it. That's it, but you did. And you belonged so much to life that you haven't been able to leave it.
It was terrible, Maggie, the accident, but it happened.
Earth in my mouth. Oh, sorry. See my tits. See.
Lord Jesus, give me help! Take this girl!
Look, I'm down for you. See, leg.
No, he doesn't want to see you. Go away, you horrid girl, go.
Oh, burning me, dark for me. Go. Cold.
Turn into a cloud and go, Maggie. Go.
Hello.
That's her leaving her alone. She's gone. Only the smell of her cheap perfume left. That breaks my heart, Pam. Her cheap perfume. Terrible. How terrible. Death, and how unfair.
But it's happened, darling. Long ago, another world.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's silly of me. You can make her go. Neither I nor my faith can.
It isn't just that, Tim. What's left of her is hanging on to life so strongly. And life was sex to her. Or whenever you're here in your spiritual home, she's drawn back.
I think that must mean I'm stronger in the flesh than in the spirit.
No, darling, that's not true. It's only how she sees it, her truth. She is now a fundamental.
Taps a sauce in me. A succubee. What do we do? I have no more tether. I can't have her around the church. I mean, she could appear in the middle of a service.
Well, maybe she has and no one's noticed.
Thought strikes a chill. I need advice. Better see the bishop. Don't you agree?
I do. Well, after all, Bishop Collins is very human for a bishop.
I've been meaning to visit you, Turner, since your installation, but somehow I can only apologize.
I have a problem, my lord. This is why I came.
Do let's sit down.
Thank you.
Let the problem stay on one side a moment. If we talk a little, I'll get to know you a little, and that will help with the problem. Or should.
Yes, my lord.
Not small talk of a religious nature, never fear. We do have something in common. How is Harold Thorpe these days?
My verger, my lord. Well, if ever I reach his age, I only hope I'll be as fit in mind and body as he is.
Harold and myself last saw one another at your installation. He's a remarkable man, as I'm sure you've discovered. Well-read, shrewdly intelligent.
He's not the usual sort of verger, sir, I imagine. Hard to get to know, but we, my wife and I, are, I think, starting to make a relationship.
It wouldn't be easy, I know. I often have wondered if Harold isn't an atheist at heart. And I don't mean that as a reproach. I sometimes wonder the same about myself.
Harold has never mentioned that he knew you, sir. Have you known him long?
Oh, since 1937. I was 23, Harold a few years older.
This was in my parish, sir?
In Abbots Upton, yes. I was a curate there for a year. The vicar was one Hugo Vincent de Broke-Bourne. Oh, a terrible man.
Harold has spoken to me of him, sir.
I almost left the church because of him. Almost became a red revolutionary. Instead, I got a mean, tough living in the northeast corner, which I enjoyed. Harold and I always kept in touch, by letter at least. Yes, my wife adored him.
Did he ever marry, sir?
No. There were women in his life, but marriage he found comic.
In 1937, sir, can you remember if you ever came across a girl, of 17 she would be then, called Margaret Joan Bell?
Maggie Bell? Good grief. How quite extraordinary. I'll show you. A few days ago, I was looking through some old photo albums, tidying up, really. I came across some photos taken at the Abbots Upton fete in 1937. Maggie Bell in the foreground. I'd written in the albums the details. Here she is. Remembered her vividly. That's her, front left. The thin, wretched bloke in the dog collar is myself. There's another of her over. There. The photographer knew a good subject when he saw one, didn't he?
I'd say so. Yes, sir.
She was quite a piece, believe me. Looked like an actress called Jean Harlow. A natural blonde, almost platinum, with the skin that goes with it. Translucent. And the sort of figure that made young men go dry in the throat. It did me. What became of her? Does anybody know?
She was killed, sir. I'm afraid, in July 1938.
Oh, poor child. I have a recollection in the back of my mind. Probably Harold wrote about it to me. A crash, wasn't it?
A motorbike crash, yes, sir. She was on the pillion. The driver was Harold's cousin, Ted Thorpe.
Coincidence is an odd business. And the memory works in mysterious ways its wonders to perform. Until I looked through that album the other day, I'd forgotten Maggie Bell completely. Then you arrive and mention her, and her death. That also I'd forgotten of. She shouldn't have died at 18, with all that life in her. God works also in his mysterious ways. Or what is it? Fate?
She is my problem, my lord.
Is she? The long-dead girl? How?
Well, to begin with, they gave her a virgin crown, which is still up in the nave.
Oh, good grief. She was notorious village-wise at 17. Harold never told me she'd been stuck up in the nave.
He's told me about her, sir.
She had a sort of sex appeal, you know, that reverberated. Shockwaves leaping out into the world to put something of such elemental sexual nature as nicely as I can. On the evening of that fete, she made me dance with her. I was very innocent, and it was quite overpowering. Of course, Broke-Born wouldn't have known, or cared if he did. Her parents knew not either, I take it.
Harold said they didn't want to, but afterwards were forced to listen. They left the parish.
Now I presume there's the question of whether the crown should be removed. A problem of conscience,
Well,
really.
that is one problem, my lord. There is another connected to it.
Tell me.
She, Maggie Bell, is haunting the church.
My dear boy, you keep stopping me in my tracks. The ghost of the girl haunts the church, you say? Do you know for sure? But personally?
Both of us, my wife and I, have seen and heard her, sir.
You have? Blimey. Well, how do you know it's Maggie's ghost?
In its own way, it has answered that it is. It speaks of the crash, it cries out about its death, and it, behaves towards me, how can I put it? I am her sex object. She is the Maggie Bell she was in life, sexually orientated.
You do mean all this? Yes, I can see that you do. But are you sure that nobody's playing a trick on you?
Well, no, I thought so at first, but no, we've eliminated the dirty tricks, my lord. Also, I've discovered that the sound of the crash, or of a crash, and a girl screaming, has been heard on summer evenings since 1938. I've heard this myself. The crash was just by the churchyard.
Yes, your predecessor, whom I considered eccentric but not downright mad, told me about the crash and the screaming heard by a small congregation in the church one evensong. Yes, not that he wanted me to do anything about it, and he accepted it as a fact of life. So you think Maggie Bell has been stuck in the church since 1938?
Not exactly, my
It's
lord.
unlikely, I agree. Some sort of news of her appearances would have got around before now.
My lord, I'm still in two minds as to whether to accept what I've seen and heard and felt of this manifestation.
Oh, you have to accept it, Turner. If it's there, it is there. It may be an unexplainable fact, but it's a fact all the same.
The fact I can't stomach, my lord, is that the soul of a dead person can remain stuck here on Earth, neither soul or body, and certainly not wholly. Only a limbo thing. It's so irrational.
I've always found life pretty irrational, so perhaps we can expect the afterlife to be the same. But I know and sympathize with your objections. You know, I learned to take the rather ridiculous idea of hauntings, phantoms, ghosts. The paranormal is today's jargon. Seriously, years ago. And this is not my first exposure to such things. Why they should happen, God literally alone knows. But frequently, it is some soul-searing experience at the point of death which leaves behind... what? A sensation born from the kinetic energy of the moment of death, like an explosion's visible aftermath. At times, what is left is horrible. such as a stifling room where men once tortured other men to death. At times it can be downright uninteresting, like the monk figure who will stand at a gate for no apparent reason. And this girl Maggie died violently near the church.
A few yards from where she was buried.
So something of her remained after the explosion. Now, what brought her into the church, I wonder?
My wife has a theory that it has to do with my presence.
She's probably right. Yes, you're a young and vital male person. Maggie treats you, as you say, like a sex object. You're her victim now, as I once was, almost, all those years ago. You probably are responsible, I'm afraid. People often seem to act as the catalysis to the ghost world. It's quite unavoidable.
In my own defence, my lord, I would add that she seems to take a pretty dim view of the Virgin Crown.
Would that draw her back? A bitter joke on the dead? Well, what do we do?
Is it possible to remove a Virgin Crown?
I don't know. But I'll find out. And if there's no ruling, then I'll make one up. It should be removed. And I suppose we'd better try to exorcise the creature, send her packing. Better close the church until then.
Or at least I shouldn't conduct the services.
It would be embarrassing if she pounced when you were in the pulpit. No. It's best the church is closed, not you shut out. We must really have her out. Now, what do you tell your flock of skeptics, I wonder? I'm afraid it would be necessary to tell them something, and to hold a public meeting to do this. One really can't shut up the church without a village meeting as to why, these days. And you must tell them the truth, without going into details, I think.
Yes, that's something I don't look forward to, my lord.
No, nor would I. But you're the one who must do it. Take the village hall. Let everybody have their say. A general free-for-all. It could clear the air. Something could come out of it. Don't ask me what. I speak as a soothsayer, not as your bishop.
You look thoroughly smug, Harold Thorpe. Move the ironing from that chair and then we'll be able to sit down. The chair.
The man-made fibres that don't need the iron are taking quite a lot of the sting out of bachelorhood. So, you've seen the bishop?
Yes, the poor Lamond. You might have said that you knew the Right Reverend Basil Collins as a buddy.
He would have seen I was boasting, or worse.
A sort of bishop's pawn?
In a way. Now, if the vicar had said the church was haunted by this female party, then I could have gone to the bishop for him. Not that your husband would have let me.
True. Still, you do look smug.
It must be the thought of this general meeting. The village hall is free of bingo, whist drives, conservatives, jumbles, and the rest on Tuesday next. I've said 7:30.
Oh, good. I'll tell him myself. 4 days to prepare.
Tell the vicar to say as little as is fit. There'll be enough coming from the body of the hall, and most of it'll be nonsense.
Well, will people come?
Bound to. I'm making sure some do, including some who knew her well, like his nibs, Guy Hawkhurst.
Maggie said something about an honourable guy. I suppose it wasn't a definition or category.
It was a scalp she wore proudly.
A scalp that's come home to roost. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, I do. So, tell the vicar, 7:30 next Tuesday it'll be.
Righto, Harold.
So there it is. I've put it as briefly as possible because I'm sure you'll have some questions to ask.
Yes, Vicar, I'd like to ask you a question. My name's Bob Masters. I've lived in the village all my life.
Far away, Mr. Masters.
Well, was this ghost thing a holy ghost thing?
I'm not sure if I understand you.
Well, a ghost in a church should be a holy ghost, shouldn't it?
I see you're being facetious. Are there any serious questions?
My name's Group Captain Anderson Hay. What you've been telling us is well, it's a bit steep, you know, a bit sort of hard to swallow. I mean, phantom presence and so on. Somewhat vague, isn't it? I mean, all very unlikely, if you ask me.
Now, are you sure that you and your wife's imaginations didn't go pop? Go over the top?
Yes, I agree. As my wife says, the imagination can go pop.
I can assure you, Group Captain, our imaginations did not go anything. They were not involved.
I don't know how much of a parish council matter this is,
It's
but...
a parochial church council matter, actually. And we've been kept entirely in the dark.
I'm sorry to have kept you and the PCC in the dark, Mrs. Willis. Only it did seem rather difficult to know quite what to tell you. And then events moved fast, and the bishop said shut the church, so I had to at once.
But I'm sure the parochial church council would have dealt with the ghost very firmly if they had known.
You all know who I am.
Yeah, you're Frank Freud.
And you're the worst for drinks, I'm not. PCC did know, Mrs. Willis. I told you myself that Mrs. Nightingale and I thought there were some odd things going on in the church. I told you it was suddenly cold.
Oh, yes, you did mention how cold it was, and the smell of cheap perfume, and the vicar on the floor.
Ooh, wasn't that enough? You should have got hold of Mr. Turner and asked him. Well, you're too much at loggerheads with each other on the parochial to do anything useful.
I object to that aspersion, as I'm sure the other members of the PCC do.
Right, one of them here.
Ladies, gentlemen, please. This is not helping matters forward. Mr. Ponsonby, you were going to ask a question, I believe, as chairman of the parish council.
I was, but I can't remember now what it was. But something Mrs. Willis said just now leads me to ask another question. The smell of cheap perfume, was that part of the haunting in the church?
Mrs. Nightingale will tell you she smelled it. Mrs. Nightingale?
No, that won't be necessary. All right. Mrs. Nightingale?
I have my deaf aid on so I can hear every word. I found the vicar under a pew looking for woodworm, so he says. The smell wasn't woodworm, though. Cheap perfume. Knights of the Tsar or some such. Woolworths used to sell it years back.
There was a smell of perfume, and I was on the floor because the ghost had pushed me there.
I take it that the ghost wears the perfume?
Yes. Sometimes it seems to.
So we can assume that the ghost is a female ghost?
If it's a bloke, it's one of those.
Yes. Yes, it is the ghost of a girl.
I say, my name's Hawkhurst.
Yes, Lord Hawkhurst?
Harold Thorpe got me along here, and since I'm here, I may as well ask a question. It's this. Does this church haunting business have any connection with the sound of a crash and a female screaming that's been heard near the church for years?
Yes, I believe it does.
Oh, do it? Then an awful lot of other questions occur to me. Yes, perhaps they occur to a few others of us here also. I'll sit down.
Will somebody kindly explain to me what all this is about?
Well, I've lived in this village since I was born, and so has my Charlie, so can I say what I think, Vicar?
Certainly, Mrs. Key.
Well, Charlie and myself have both heard that bike crashing, and the girl screaming, as my Charlie has seen his dead old dog cocking its leg in the garden against the shed, only there was no liquid.
May I ask where the devil all this is getting us?
No, hang on, Group Captain, hang on. I can't tell things, but in my own fashion. Charlie and myself first heard that crash one summer evening in 1938 when we was courting. Long time back. And we went running to the sound of it, and when we got there, took us half a minute at most, the girl had stopped screaming.
And wasn't anywhere to be seen.
Wrong. She were on the verge by the churchyard, moaning and already half dead or more. The chap and his motorbike were all over the road and he was concussed. They didn't wear crash hats those days, only a back-to-front cap. We did our best for her. Somebody got on the phone at the vicarage and the ambulance arrived after about 10 minutes, but she was already still. The life gone from her. One thing, though, she had a fight with death to the last. She jerked and rolled and kept grabbing at me. She didn't want to go. Some of us remember who that girl was. Same age as me, she was. Charlie and I saw her die. Since then, though, her death haunts that bit of road. We've heard it. So have others. Strangers to the village, even. Well, make what you like about it.
I'm more or less a stranger, seeing that I've only been here 6 months. Dobbs is the name. I live in the close.
He's what's called a young executive.
Thank you.
Granted.
I don't know what to make of any of it. Ghost girl who wears cheap perfume and closes the church and has to be exorcised. Crash that goes on haunting the road. I, quite honestly, don't believe in a word of it. But I will admit that I'm a sceptic in these things. But I do believe in things being investigated. I think that the British Society for Psychical Research ought to be informed of all these events. Let them come here with their equipment and expertise and lay these ghosts for good. Could we have a vote on this, Vicar?
No, I'm sorry. To call in the psychical researchers would be a matter for the church to decide upon.
And the fewer people who know about the business outside this village, the better.
I do think you're being very narrow-minded about it. I mean, if there is a ghost girl, wouldn't it be interesting to find out what sort of girl she is?
We know what sort of girl she is, Mr. Dobbs.
What do you mean, Mr. Thorpe?
Are you on familiar terms with this female spectre?
I don't really like this, Vicar. I mean, what's it all mean? You know who the girl was. I mean, has there been some sort of, well, what do you call it, occult goings on going on in the church?
There's been no such thing going on in our church group, Captain. Mrs. Turner wouldn't have it, I know.
All right, you are, Mrs. Fry.
Vicar, I kicked off with a question about the Holy Ghost.
And the ref showed you the red card straight away, Bob.
Yeah, well, I wasn't being disrespectful. All I was trying to say was, were the ghost a nun? Or somebody holy-like? Because if she was, there's no harm in the vicar or the verger getting to know her. Ask her what her troubles are.
I'm sorry I showed you the red card, Mr. Masters. No, she isn't a nun of any sort, or a church person at all, I'm afraid.
Then is she some poor ghost creature what's wandered in by mistake, like?
In a way she is, Mrs. Sam.
I say, Hawkhurst again. It's simple enough, isn't it? Something to do with a crash, right? There was a certain young lady killed in that crash, as Mrs. Kick, who was Gertie Go-Along at the time, has so graphically described.
Oh, well, I did tell you.
Some of us remember who that girl was, I hope. Some of us knew her somewhat better than perhaps we ought. Seems she was 18 when she died. Right?
Too blooming true.
You were a wild lad, Sam Knott, 40 years back. I'm a good deal older, so I can state it without prejudice. Masters there, with his questions about nun-ghosts, has forgotten I'll put a fiver on it until now. What, Bob Masters, eh?
Oh, love a duck. What was her name?
If you went into the church sometimes, Robert, you'd not have forgotten.
Well, this is becoming more and more stupid.
Yes, I do agree. Will somebody kindly explain in simple language?
Oh, she must be celebrated in the church in some way.
She has a virgin crown, Mr. Dobbs.
What? Oh, yes, I've heard. Well, perhaps she's come to see if it's still there, eh?
Probably she has.
If this girl is the one Lord Hawkhurst speaks of as being a bit of a flirt, to put it mildly.
She had rampant sexuality, Mr. Ponsonby.
She weren't no virgin, neither.
And yet she has a virgin crown. How come, Vicar?
It did all happen before I was even a twinkle in my father's eye. But
it's a long story, Ponsonby, I'll tell you sometime. She was called Margaret Joan Bell, Maggie Bell, right? And she's come back to rub our noses in our old crimes, is that it? If ever she went away. She's always been on that stretch of road, eh, Harold?
I think you summed it up, Lord Hawkhurst. Quite why she's arrived in the church is anybody's guess.
All that matters now is to get her out, to release her soul from its earthbound imprisonment.
I haven't said much. Except in parenthesis, but I'd like to say this. Maggie used to scoff at the virgin crowns hanging there in her time. I can understand her coming back. Can't understand why she's waited so long. As she's been there all the time, and the vicar and Mrs. Vicar are the first with eyes to see her. Ironic, that's what it is, that she's got one, a crown. Like giving a devil's minion a halo.
All you say is quite right, Sam Knott.
We should surely have the crown removed, Vicar. She didn't deserve it, and it shouldn't be there. The parochial church council must take action.
There are no rules, Mrs. Willis. But the bishop is, however, prepared to make a ruling.
Come, Vicar. Surely the PCC have the power.
Don't think the parochial have that sort of power, Mrs. Didn't get your name. Bishop Collins knows as well as I do that the custom goes back into what are called the mists of time. And you can bet on it that more than one virgin who got her crown got it when nobody was looking or saying. It's up to us, isn't it, Vicar? Yeah. I'll sit down.
I rather think, Lord Hawkhurst, that the bishop was leaving matters to me and the parish in the first instance.
Padre, may I ask, what did the bishop say in so many words?
He said something would probably come out of a general meeting, not that he had any idea what, and that he was speaking more as a soothsayer than a bishop.
Good for Collins. Used to be curate here, 1937. So he may have heard of our Miss Bell. Hope that was all.
It's time we made a decision, Vicar. We've talked enough, I'm sure.
I agree, Mrs. Fry. I believe that a small... Yes, Mrs. Nightingale?
We should make a decision about the crown.
Yes, we have, dear. That's what we're doing now.
To continue, I believe that a small group of us, the verger, Mrs. Willis, Mrs. Fry, myself, should remove the offending crown and the commemorating plaque. Does the meeting agree?
Yeah. When they be removed, what you got to do with them, Vicar?
I haven't thought that far yet.
Put the crown on our grave to rot away.
Good idea, Gertie. It's not my business to interfere in church matters, but don't you reckon, Vicar, that a ceremony, something straightforward, wouldn't be out of order? At her grave or somewhere. I can't think where else.
I think it would be very much in order, Lord Hawkhurst.
May I make a suggestion?
I think we can let Mrs. Turner make a suggestion. She has, after all, been as quiet as a church mouse up until now.
Thank you. Well, Maggie Bell died on the 16th of July. That's this coming Saturday. In the evening around 8:30. Well, I've read the inquest reports. So, wouldn't it be a good idea if we held a ceremony at that time on Saturday upon the actual spot where she died? Or is it too ghoulish?
I think it's pretty ghoulish, I must say. And why all the mumbo-jumbo?
What do you make, Dobbs, for a living?
Make? My firm makes typewriters and copiers, telex machines.
Good for them. But you wouldn't sell a one without the sales mumbo-jumbo, would you? Right, Vicar. Those of us who knew her, in the biblical sense, will be there. Yes, perhaps her ghost will see us as we are now, and decide she's best out of this world.
Thank you. We all agree?
No, I don't. Yes.
Well, I will have some sort of mumbo-jumbo ready for the occasion.
There's the ladder in place, Vicar. Straight below Margaret Joan Bell's virgin crown. There. Have you got a head for heights?
Well, it's not the height I'm worried about, Harold.
No.
No, of course it's not the height, Vicar.
No. What does the parochial church council think of it, Mrs. Willis?
Think of what? I mean, we've decided to take it down.
Who should go up the ladder to take it down, the vicar or the verger?
Well, I really don't... I mean, do I have to take a decision for the PCC?
Oh, the PCC.
Well, think of it as an opinion, Mrs. Willis.
Yes. Well, one would expect the verger to fetch and carry.
Yeah. Of course it's your job, Harold.
I'm not as young as I used to be, Mrs. Turner.
Oh, stuff and nonsense. I've seen you going up that ladder like a 2-year-old.
Yes, Mr. Thorpe, you go up the ladder to dust the crowns and clean the nameplates all the time.
So, Verger, up you go again. Anyway, it'll obviously be safer for you up there than it would be for me.
Oh, well, there you're right. Yeah. I'll take my courage in both hands.
I can't see why. And why safer?
Well, Maggie is quite likely to attack my poor husband, Mrs. Willis. And at the top of a ladder, that could be tricky.
So you see, she could attack me, too.
Oh, you're taking it seriously. I mean, you are, really.
Best to do so. So I need courage. The bishop will probably give me a medal. You put your foot on the second run, Vicar. They got a nice sway to them of these ladders, this particular type.
Turning cold in here.
I've noticed.
Are you going to say a prayer or a few words, Vicar, when I take it down?
Only for your safety and return, Harold.
Oh, you can start now. Here we are. Now, it ought to come off the hook easy. Right. It doesn't.
Hello? Bitch. Bloody bitch.
I beg your pardon, who's that?
Hush! You stay where you are, Maggie.
Stay where you are. You had such a lovely thingy.
Where is she? I mean...
Who's she referring to, I wonder? I see what it is. The wire's a bit bent. Hold hard. Hold hard, Vicar. Got it.
Pinch, punch, pinch!
Oh, somebody pinched me on the... You know what?
Bum, bum, bum.
Come back, Mrs. Willis. Come here. Mrs. Willis, please. Now, stay away, Maggie. You're coming down, Harold, all right?
I just waiting to see if she'd move in on me. Oh, this crown is as fragile as a moth's wing.
Down, bitch, chow, bitch, go.
There's somebody here she doesn't like.
And I'm beginning to dislike her, or what's left of her, and that isn't Christian or sensible.
I actually felt a pinch.
Thank you, Harold. Now, Maggie, we have your crown, and we're going to take it to the spot where you died. There, you shall say prayers over it, and then you will leave us.
Hello? Cold. Hello? Go.
Come, ladies. Harold, shut the church, please, after we join the procession.
Yes, I will, Vicar. Shut her in, or shut her out.
Ah, Harold. I don't know if I like the choice of psalm.
Good evening, my Lord Bishop. I don't know if I like seeing a bishop lurking among the tombstones.
Young Turner has to do the trick himself. They're going down to the road, I take it.
To the place where she died, with her crown.
Did the taking it down go smoothly?
Oh, it depends what you mean by smoothly. The young lady was certainly in evidence. Mrs. Willis was pinched on the bottom.
Oh, dear. You'll notice I'm not in my clericals.
Oh, it's a very bishop-prick tweed. You should have a beard with it.
I know Guy Hawkhurst, but who are the chaps flanking him?
Sam Knott and Bob Masters. They shared her favours.
Ah, it's a good turnout. Must be 20 or more. Who's the fat old dame at the back?
Mrs. Kick. Used to be Gertie Go-Along.
Oh, Charlie Kick never rubbed two words together.
He still doesn't. They got to the road. Let's hope there's not much traffic.
There's no traffic. But look at that. Coming up the road.
Oh, it's Dobbs and some friends. Newcomers in new houses.
I thought he didn't believe in the ghost.
We haven't had a village demonstration since 1871, when they stoned the bishop.
It could always happen. What will young Turner do, I wonder?
This is the spot. Pam, will you put her crown on the ground, please? Shall we form a half circle?
Why, Mr. Dalton is singing a different tune.
I wish I knew, Mrs. Nightingale. Best ignore them, I think.
I say, it looks just like the Sweeney.
Oh, it's nice, PC Black and his little panda.
Quiet, everybody. We represent the rights of ghosts to be left alone.
Got their word for it, have you? You clear off, or I'll bash you over the heads with your bloody banners.
Now then, what's going on here?
Good Lord, he's actually said it.
Good evening, Mr. Black. I'm conducting a short service of remembrance on this spot.
A bit unusual, but I can't see why you shouldn't. And you lot?
Well, Constable, we're rather opposed to this so-called service.
Yeah. What's that placard say? Hold it up, lad. The Society for the Preservation of English Ghosts. Now, are you having me on?
Preserve any old thing these days, they will.
No, we are perfectly serious, Constable. If a ghost exists here, then we believe it has the right to exist here without being harassed by the clergy.
Quite right. Are you attempting to harass a ghost, Vicar?
Oh, if you consider holding a service of remembrance for a ghost harassment, well, then I'm guilty of doing so, yes.
I've not seen or heard any of this. If I wrote this down in my notebook, the inspector would see to it that I don't go out alone in my nice little car in future. Or else put you lot under observation in the nearest loony bin.
I know it must sound odd, but
Coming up to 8:30, Vicar. Oh, yes. I say, Constable, I'm Lord Hawkhurst. I don't think we've met.
No, I don't go to the House of Lords much these days.
Nor do I. But we must get on, don't you see? The crash is due at any moment, and then our ghost girl may turn up and all that.
Oh, yeah. It's all perfectly clear. The village has gone round the twist. Nothing I can do. You lot with the banners there, you'll stand over there and don't disturb the peace.
All right. Line up, everybody, line up. And think the ghost to stay. Think it.
Yeah, you do that. And you, Vicar, I'd be grateful if you'd get on with the service and then clear off out of it.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Let us pray.
I'm just going to be an impartial observer. Yeah. Right?
Almighty and everlasting Father,
He's not all that bright, is P.C. Black, which under the circumstances is a godsend.
The poor chap. It looks an interesting ceremony. He's written his own prayers, how I
gather
hear.
her up, O God, so that she no longer wanders this place, her limbo in torment and anguish for her dead body and her completed life. Amen.
Motorbike. That's it.
Now stay where you are. There's a bike coming and it's too fast. Now move back.
It's our motorbike, Mr. Black. What can you see, Mr. Dobbs?
I can't see a damn thing.
Where's it gone? I never saw a thing. Nothing. I say, do my eyes just... By the crown, it's left the girl behind.
Yes. She's materialized very clearly.
Like she was. Like she was.
Oh, that...
No. Can't be.
It is, Mr. Dobbs. Maggie Bell.
Hello, Maggie.
Hello. Hello. 10.
Maggie, the crash has happened for the last time. Now you must go also.
Last time. Last time.
I say, Maggie, have a look at us. You won't know us, though once you did. Sam Knott, this one. Bob Masters, this, and I'm Guy Hawkhurst. Say hello, lads.
Hello, Maggie.
Maggie.
Guy the First. Sam. Bob. I can't. Nobody. Tim.
You can't have Tim, Maggie. Can't. Look by your feet. We've taken your virgin crown out of the church. There it is.
Bloody virgin. Dead. Dead. Last time. Gone.
Go, Maggie. Go. I beseech you. Maggie, leave us. Join in, everyone. Leave us, Maggie. Leave us.
Leave us, Maggie. Leave us.
Release her soul from limbo, O Lord God.
O Lord God.
Take her soul from this place. Your time is past, Maggie. Long, long past. Go to eternal time, Maggie. To peace. To the only truth.
No more. No more burning. Who knows? Who knows?
I can't bear to look.
Who knows? She seems to have gone.
It was rather beautiful, you know. Like a cobweb or such like, moving away in the wind. She's gone for good, I'd say. Well done, Vicar.
Well, Vicar. All right, then. Move on there.
Oh, come in, my Lord Bishop. And you, Harold Thorpe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
My husband's in the sitting room with Lord Hawkhurst, who had a bottle of malt whisky concealed on his person. We're hoping that it'll restore Tim's power of speech.
I hope he didn't see me among the tombstones, Mrs. Turner.
Oh, on the way back, he said, "Who's that chap with Harold?" Then he recognised you, mufti or not, and said not another word. Well, do come in. And you, Harold.
Thank you. It wasn't of my doing.
Hello, Collins. Thought I saw you earlier reading the epitaph.
I was meant to be unseen, Hawkhurst.
What, in that suit? Get some more glasses, young Pamela. She's a lovely girl, isn't she?
Thank you. Glasses.
Have a spot of the malt, Collins. And you, Harold.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Glasses for the use of.
That went very well.
Thank you.
Oh, dear. That poor boy's vocal cords have dried up. Lubrication is necessary.
Curiosity got the better of me, Turner. Yours was a very remarkable show of strength, of faith. My blessing upon you. In malt whisky, but nonetheless a blessing.
Oh, thank you, my lord. I'm exhausted.
Nobody expects you to talk, darling. Drink your scotch and keep quiet.
Well, your health, all. Our young lady materialised quite beautifully, I thought.
It was as if she had to do something special for her last appearance, you know. It's the way these things are done, is it, Collins?
It often seems so, Hawkhurst. There's a strongly dramatic quality in a lot of haunting. I've no idea why. Although the devil and all his works are, of course, also strong drama.
It reminded me of the Lyceum in the 20s. Pure melodrama. Sort of thing called The Lost Soul or some such.
I feel as though I've played an immensely long stage part. Hamlet had worries. She said, who knows?
That was a bit rum.
Perhaps she didn't know and was wondering.
Did you see Dobbs? He looked almost angry.
People react in various ways. Some faint, some take to their heels, some are rooted to the spot, and some don't seem to notice.
Well, they all noticed except for Mrs. Nightingale, and she seemed quite oblivious. I suppose because she couldn't hear.
It's a shame she didn't suffer shock and have her hearing restored.
Oh, my dear Harold, a ghost is one thing, a miracle quite another.
But they're both a matter of what you're prepared to believe in, eh?
Well, this time next week, Dobbs will have rationalised the whole thing in some way.
You probably accuse me of arranging the thing from a box of tricks.
And we won't get P.C. Black to come into the village unless we have a murder in future.
Oh, this whisky's doing me a power of good. I know. I'm still sceptical of the paranormal or supernatural. I mean, are we all the victims of a vast trick played by the collective imagination, or is it more things than we can dream of in our philosophy? I mean, who knows?
That was The Girl Who Didn't Want to Be by Frederick Bradnam, in which Angela Pleasance played Maggie Bell, Simon Cadell, Tim Turner, Joanna David, Pam Turner, and Christopher Benjamin, Harold Thorpe. Richard Herndel was Lord Hawkhurst, and Philip Voss, the Bishop. The ladies of the village were played by Margot Boyd, Pauline Letts, Susan Richards, Gladys Spencer, Brenda Kay, and Janet Burnell, and the men by Eric Allen, Manning Wilson, Henry Knowles, Kenneth Shanley, John Gabriel, and Peter Wickham. The policeman was Bill Monks. Technical presentation by Jock Farrell, assisted by David Hitchinson. The director was Jane Morgan.